retribution and revolution, for we live in a society and we live at a time when forgetting is the wish and denying the relevance, the power, the mattering of African and black humanity is the norm. Sadly, even for too many of us. So we pour and we speak libation as our own personal and collective quest for our own self-reparation, because repairing the African spirit starts with the pouring, the speaking, the living of libation. That is its purpose. We are instructed by our ancient ancestors in the book of Ani to pour libation for our fathers and mothers who rest in the valley of the dead. We must not forget to do this even when we have been torn away from home, for as we do for our parents or not, our children will do also for us or not. We pour and we speak libation for the indomitable fighting spirit we seek to resurrect, that we may continue our pursuit of black life, that is liberation, independence, freedom, empowerment. We dare call it justice for our ancestors and our children's future. And we pour and we speak libation in honor of those ancestors who left us a legacy worthy of honor. We pour and we speak for those who have contributed to our lives in ways we know and appreciate, and in the countless ways we have yet to understand, and in many ways we may never even know. We pour and we speak for the mother father of civilization, the nation builders, the concept creators, the freedom fighters, the warriors, the educators, those who escaped and those who stayed, those who fought and those who hid, those that roared and those that cried, those who held it down so that we may be lifted up, those who held us together so we could stand on our own. We pour and we speak for those whose struggles lay the foundation for the world's greatest diaspora, which will be great once again when we remember to love ourselves. We pour and we speak for those who have poured into us, filling us with the instincts, the insight, the intuition, the intelligence, the instruction that guide us forward, and that we will pass on to the beautiful ones not yet born. And we pour, we speak, and we live for the beautiful children not yet born, hoping that our living, our contribution to their future will one day be worthy of remembrance, respect, recognition, and reverence. And since we have your ear and we have your presence, we ask for African power, power to heal, overcome, become whole and exemplary and sovereign. Once again, Ashe, Aluta Continua, Uhuru Sasa, Black Power, Ubuntu, I am we, and we are one. So let the healing begin. Let our healing continue.
The first tune is called Olohun Tawa Shinyara Jeka Bere. Now, which means let's start what we have come into the room to do. Right on. Here goes. 1, 2, 3.
Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Groundings, Evolutions, and Elevations with Brother Shamari. I am Brother Shamari. I'm back. It's been a minute, but it actually doesn't feel like it's been that long, so it's all good. Shout out to my good brother, the rapping professor, Dr. Aaron Smith, for holding it down last week while I was in the southern part of this country called Atlanta. Actually, I was in Atlanta, but my cousin was fronting. He's talking about he lives in Atlanta. He lives in Lawrenceville, Georgia, which is 30, 40 minutes outside of Atlanta. And I don't know why people do that. Like, if you don't live in the city, say you don't live in the city. Acknowledge where you come from. That's like living in Coatesville and saying you're from Philly. Like, stop it. You're not. You're not from Atlanta. You don't live in Atlanta. You live in Lawrenceville. But shout out to you, fam, for your hospitality. Had a great time down in Lawrenceville and Conyers and Atlanta and all of those other Georgia-related places where I had a chance to hang out for a while. Hopefully I get back down that way. I tried to visit my alma mater, Morehouse College, but it was all shut down and locked down. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, yo, it was like a ghost town in Atlanta. And then I've been around Philly, and I've been in like a lot of these shopping districts, downtown, 52nd Street, 69th Street. It's like virtual ghost towns out here, y'all. So what's going on? I mean, this COVID thing is sending a lot of mixed messages. I don't know if the city's open back up, if it's really not, or there curfews in place. It just really feels like out of the norm. Like it's something going on that evidently I'm not aware of. So if you got the 411 on what's going on regarding people gathering, I mean, I see a place like the Lollapalooza Festival in Chicago. It was like hundreds of thousands, seeming tens of thousands of people out there. And then I go to other cities and these places that are supposed to be hot spots, kind of really cool and low key. So I just don't get the vibe. I don't know what's going on. I feel like there's something in the air, but we just don't have the memo quite right, quite yet. But good to be back in the flow today. Focus today is going to be talking a lot about the role of the Mwalimu, the teacher. I'm going to be I'm not even dipping my foot back in the pool. I'm actually literally jumping back into the deep end of the pool regarding teaching and counseling and jegmanship and mentoring when the fall semester starts up, the fall school year. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. My focus today that I want you all to help me with in this conversation is, what must we teach our people? I'm going to be working with children. I'm going to be working with ex-offenders. I'm going to be working with people who are college students. I'm going to be working with young parents, young fathers. I'm going to be working with middle schoolers. I'm going to be running the gamut of the black lifespan and having a chance to be in a position of either counseling, teaching, directing, influencing, correcting. And I really want to know, if you could call up, pick one of those demographic groups and tell me what, if you were in front of them, what it is you think they must know. What must we teach our children? What must we teach our brothers and sisters who are returning home from incarceration? What must we teach our college students who are on these campuses trying to learn and trying to maybe give back to Black people with their education? What must we teach or reteach our elders? Pick one of those demographic groups that I have. What must we teach Black parents? Because I'll be working with young Black parents, mothers and fathers. And I'm just wondering right now, as I'm formulating curriculum and I'm formulating methodologies and all of those things, what are the essential things you think our people need to know? There's a poem, and hopefully I'll get a chance to play it a little bit. I think the sister's last name was Burroughs, and it was done back in 1963, called "What Shall We or What Must We Teach Our Children?" I'm going to play a little bit about that because that's the question I'm having. I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, "Wake Up Everybody, no more sleeping in bed, no more backwards thinking, time for thinking ahead." The world has changed so very much from what it used to be, and it really has. We're in that time right now, and I don't know that we are instructing ourselves as a people. What must we need to know? What must we know? What is it that we need to know in order to be prepared for? And not prepared just to survive, but prepared to win and thrive and self-author and be our own authorities in this world that's emerging. One of the places where we do have the potential for power that I think we let go unutilized is in the teaching and the socialization of our people. There are many places where we still have control at some level of what our people learn, what our people come to know. And I want to know if you had a chance to author what we need to know.
what our children need to know if you're working in schools, elementary school, middle school? What is it that our brothers and sisters returning home from incarceration? What is it that our elders, what is it that our mothers and fathers need to know in this time as the world is changing right in front of them? What would you offer? Hit us up at 215-634-8065. Again, that's 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900. But as always, we start the show, we get this party started with what Reverend Joe wants us to know. So Reverend Joe, are you there?
And welcome back into your wonderful producer. And that CD that you just played has nothing to do with the waltz or the foxtrot.
That's right, sir.
Listen, this is what the Pop Squad is going to help you do what you're doing. I would say this: if I'm in front of a class, stop using words that put you down. The black sheep of the family. What kind of dumb stuff is that for you to say about your own family? The black sheep in your family. Or call you all out your name, Missy, or Uncle. They don't even know you, Uncle so-and-so. And calling you a boy. We got to stop. We can't let our young people go through life with them stupid terms like some of the older folks went through it. We got to stop it as of today. So that's what I'm going to be doing. And as I say, we'll help you do whatever you're trying to do with the ex-offenders, because our ministry started with ex-offenders after we found out everybody was an ex-offender. So
right, exactly. I like that.
Yeah,
I like
so that's what we're going to do, Sabari. So as I say, got a lot of work here. We better do it because we're on lockdown. You see the city? Yeah, we're on lockdown. We ain't got nothing going for us, and we can't dig it. We can't pick up on that unlocked everything down on the churches on back, and we don't understand how this system is messing with us. So
we want something, because I for as much as people are talking about, everybody's not caring about COVID and being up under each other, and black people, like, I'm going to places that are usually popping, 52nd Street, 69th Street. I go downtown. I was in downtown Atlanta. It was a ghost town. And I'm like, wow, where all these black people gathering.
Amen.
Every place I'm going, I'm watching people. Now, I did go to a couple places outside of Atlanta where it was kind of congested, I ain't gonna lie. But in these major cities, it's almost like there's a different set of rules that are being applied in the major black cities.
It's called control.
Aren't being applied everywhere else.
Control. They know where you are. They got you just like they wanted.
Before you jump off, so you never give people a shout out about how they can connect with you and Mount Airy United Fellowship Church.
Yeah, I'd be glad.
So make sure you share that information before you sign off.
We got a lot of work to be done. Call me anytime at 215-813-1226. 813-1226. We're not into hallelujah stuff. I don't care about you falling out and foaming at the mouth. We better learn some truth now. As you just said, they're controlling everything, even the churches. And so we got to really understand it ain't going to get no better for us until we help ourselves, especially our young folks. They're going to send a little kid back to school. They don't know if what to put. If the school's been nothing, they don't care. Get them out there. Get them, man. Well,
I'm with you, sir. And this week coming up, I will be I'm going to get in touch with you over the weekend, and maybe we can set up either a meeting or a Zoom conversation with Pop Brigade, because I'm ready to go. I'm back. I'm rejuvenated, and most importantly, so I'm actually kind of clearer than I've ever been about what the rest of my life needs to be dedicated to. So I'm ready to go, sir.
Keep on. Call me. Bye-bye.
All right. That is the Reverend Joe Williams. Y'all got to forgive me. I'm in a new setting. I'm trying to get my little camera angles right. So if I seem a little fidgety, it's because I am. But it's all good, man. I'm really clear on what I need to do. And, it's this line in a book I've been reading. I'm not the most metaphysical to The Alchemist. Talks about once you're clear about who you are and what your destiny is, the universe kind of aligns with you to make it happen. And, I don't know if that's always true, but I feel like right now in this moment, it is true. The more I'm clear about what it is I'm supposed to do, the more the universe and the ancestors and the spiritual forces and the world kind of aligns and helps you walk that path and walk it powerfully. So I owe it to them to align myself with that alignment and make things happen that I've been sitting on for a long time in my life. Coming up on a commercial break. When we come back, Brother Joseph, I see you on the line. And if you want to join our conversation, hit us up at 215-634-8065. Again, that's 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900. When we come back, I want to take some time to pay honor. We've been losing a lot of people, but I want to specifically create space to honor the works of brother whose work I respected in the media journalism field, Glenn Ford, and also in the historical scholarly field, brother Dr. Bernoko Rashidi. So stay tuned.
Philadelphia residents can stay cool this summer with Parks and Rec. Between public pools and spray grounds, there are over 150 free places to cool down and have fun this summer. Spray grounds are open from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily. Pool hours vary by location. Visit phila.gov/PPR to find a pool or spray ground near you.
The Black Words Book Club. Word Radio's conversation on books that explore the African American experience through social, economic, and environmental justice issues. Tune in the second Tuesday of every month on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. The Black Words book for September is Race Against Time, The Politics of a Darkening America by Keith Boykin. Be sure to listen live as Nick Taliaferro will hold a contest for a giveaway book bundle that consists of 4 titles from Kensington's Defina's Authors of Color's newest release. Don't miss it. Tuesday, September 14th on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Attention 4Word members. Get your copy and receive a 20% discount when you purchase at Harriet's Bookstore or Hakeem's Bookstore. For more information on the Black Words Book Club, visit wordradio.com. The Black Words Book Club is sponsored by Defina. Defina is an imprint of Kensington Publishing Corporation, America's independent publisher, concentrating on authors of color. Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on Word Radio and wordradio.com.
They are falling all around me. They are falling all around me. They are falling all around me. The strongest leaves of my tree. Every paper brings the news that every paper brings the news that every paper brings the news that the teachers of my sounds are moving on.
I think I'm back. I'm not sure. Welcome back to Groundings, Evolutions, Elevations with Brother Shamari. Groundings comes at you every Friday, 1 to 4 p.m. right here. WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM on your radio dial. If you want to join our conversation today, what shall we teach our people? What must we teach our people? I want you to call up. Give me an age group. I'm letting you know I'm going to be working with a particular set of demographics. I'm going to be working with middle schoolers in a charter school setting. I'm going to be working with college students in the graduate program on the Ivy League campus, as well as some other collegiate level work. I'm going to be working a lot with what people call ex-offenders, returning citizens, brothers and sisters who are coming home back to our communities, recently released from prison. I'm going to be working with parents, young adult parents, mothers and fathers. What is it that you think in this world we are engaging in that's being constructed right in front of our faces, by the way? Social architects are fashioning and burgeoning a world. We are living literally right now, whether you understand it or not, in another iteration of what history will call Reconstruction. Reconstruction comes after a great disruption, the one we're most familiar with, we call the Civil War. After any war, there's a period of reconstructing because you destroy stuff in war, right? This economy, you don't see the war because a lot of times that these wars, at least the high intensity ones, don't happen on this soil. They happen other places, and we don't really know because we're not really as informed as we think we are about certain things. But America, make no mistake about it, has been engaged in low intensity asymmetrical warfare against its Black population literally since we've arrived. And so now at some point, this economy, the political structure, the social structures, the technological structures, the way you produce and consume, all of that's being disrupted and has been disrupted literally for about the last 30 years. And so now you have people who are reconstructing the world. They call it the Great Reset, amongst many other things. Philadelphia calls it simply the 2035 plan. But it's a reconstruction. We don't really understand. We don't see with our eye of Heru or the eye of Ra. So we don't get clarity often until it's too late. But Philly has been engaged in a reconstruction of itself for a long period of time. We're in the middle of it. It's called the 2035 plan. If you want to understand what their end goal is, go look up the 2035 plan. Look up the 2035 plan for your particular neighborhood. It's laid out for you. You can see what's going on. And the question is, where are we in the plans of others to reconstruct our reality? That's one thing we need to deal with when we're teaching our people, because I think that we've gotten that memo pretty late. But then the other aspect of it is, what is your agency, your authority, your own power in the self-reconstruction process? How do you create spaces where you envision yourselves into the future, and then you become the social architects to create the future that you envision yourself into? I don't know anywhere we're having those thoughts and conversations at a real intentional level. We're not having them with our young people, so they don't see a future. We're not having them in our spiritual places. So the people who, according to their own stories, have the most direct line to the most powerful forces in the universe, the gods and the Allahs and the Loa and the Orisha, are not thinking from a powerful, aspirational, Black sovereign space. So there are very few places. You go to a senior citizen home where many of our elders, where are we thinking aspirationally about being our own social architects of the future that we deserve to bring forward for our people and for our children? That stuff has to be taught. And so the question is, if you have a chance to stand in front of people as a teacher, as a counselor, as an influencer, in any way, as a media host, a show host on WURD, wherever you may be, what must we begin teaching and preparing our people for? How do we prepare them to fit in, to the extent that some of you all are about diversity, inclusion, and equity? How do you fit in a powerful way into the world that's coming forward? We're not doing a good job of that. And then another conversation, how do you create the world that you want going forward? Because that opportunity for reconstruction is right here, right now, and I don't think we're taking adequate advantage of it. Hit me up at 215-634-8065. I need y'all to help me make up my curriculum, y'all. What do y'all say I need to be teaching? What do we need to be teaching now that we have an opportunity to stand in front of our people and do so? 215-634-8065, toll free, 866-361-0900. Also, we lost two giants among many. One brother, very influential for me in the field of journalism. Because I'm gonna just say it, I think Black Agenda Report was one of the most significant, current, hard-hitting, also internationally focused as well as domestically focused from a Black perspective, from a Black liberation, from a Black, dare I say, a Black revolutionary or Black radical or Black progressive perspective. I think Black Agenda Report was one of the most significant publications, and it's still one of the most significant outlets that we have for Black media. I'm just going to say it, we lost a giant in losing Glenn Ford. And so I just want to give space and shout out for that and that kind of work, and hopefully places like the Grounding Show and WURD and other outlets, man, can really hold up the banner of hard-hitting, uncompromising, Black liberation-focused lenses on the news that we consume as a people. And then also in the world of scholarship and academia, the community, I call them the community scholar, because this brother was all about scholarship that benefited our people, and the fact that you didn't have to be bound up by university sanctioned degrees and stuff to do some very significant studying about African history, Black history, and particularly the African presence across the diaspora in many places where, really not the diaspora, African presence across the globe in many places that people would not consider there being African presence in Australia, African presence in Asia, African presence in everywhere. Dr. Baba Bernoko Rashidi, he was like the investigative journalist of historians, really tracking down the fact that Black people have been, will be everywhere, and have made significant contributions everywhere we have been. So shout out to those two transitioning ancestors. May their journey be blessed, may their journey be powerful, and may their contributions be remembered, and may we build upon their contributions, which is the way you give people eternal life. You do that through remembrance, and you do that through utilizing what you remember to build upon, to ground, to evolve, and to elevate. Let's get to the phone lines. Brother Joseph, Massachusetts, are you still with us? Brother Joseph going once?
He just hung up.
All right, let's go to Wayne. Greetings.
Yes, thank you for taking my call. You know, when dealing with the family convicted folks, you know, they have, especially for ones that just coming home, they have an assortment of things that they have to sort through. And one of the things that family convicted people need to know is what are the new realities on the ground when looking for a job, when looking to move forward. And a lot of times they don't know what is the latest legislation or what is the latest stuff that's going on that can help them get back into the workforce. You know, my organization personally has Stand the Back. And if people learn about Stand the Back and the benefits from that, then when they go and have interviews, they will know how to interview correctly, okay, and be able to get that guy. A lot of times they don't know how to interview because of the recent changes.
So, brother, before you hang up, because I got a lot of noise in the back, can you say the name of your organization one more time, and if people want to reach out to you, how they get to you?
Okay, the name of my organization is X-Offenders for Community Empowerment.
And how do they reach out to you?
Well, you can get me on 215-668-8477. Now, that's for one group of folks that just coming home. When dealing with the formerly convicted population, you have three sets of formerly convicted people. You got people who recently came home. You got people who've been on parole or probation for years. And then you got folks that's no longer on probation and parole. And all three of them have the same desires in terms of getting the services that they need. Now, my organization works with people that's no longer on probation and parole by help restoring their rights as a citizen. Okay. And you don't hear too much about that. But
I appreciate that, my brother. It sounds like the young one has something they want us to know as well. So I appreciate hearing from both of y'all in your call, Brother Wayne. Appreciate you. And again, you heard his organization, so reach out if you fall in that area and you feel like no one. I agree with them. You know, a lot of the brothers and sisters that I deal with, when they went in, some of them have done, you know, upwards of 20 years, 10, 15 years. The world has changed. Not only has the world changed, the communities that many of them came from, they're going back to now. And that same village infrastructure that was there, the same neighbors and people, many of these neighborhoods have either been gentrified or the people have moved on, and you're not returning to the same place in the same space. So it's a lot of adjustment to learn how to navigate. So again, what should we tell our people who are Black? What should we be teaching them, our children, our young ones? I'm gonna be working with young ones, old ones, mothers, fathers, ex-offenders, college students. What is it that they need to know? Hit me up at 8065. Again, that's 215-634-8065, toll free, 866-361-0900. Let's take more and more caller before we go to commercial break. That would be Howard. Greetings.
Been a long time since I called in, but the question I like that question that you asked. I think first I want to say I think what I would do and say to my people is basically we got to start realizing that it's only one race, and that's the human race. I think once we start doing that, then we got to start telling the truth. And the big thing about that is CRT, this critical race theory. There's a lot going on in the news about critical race theory, but that is something that we need to be vouching for, pushing for 100% that it be included in curriculums. I have an organization myself, and then I'm going to hang up because the commercial's coming. I have an organization, if you can find it on a webpage, a Facebook media webpage called Athletic Association for Political Development. It's AAPDS. You can find it on your Facebook page. Go to @AAPDS 2020. Put that in, it'll pop up, and it's just a forum, a political forum that pushes positive messages, not just for African Americans, but for the human race.
So give me a sense of where the athletics fits into that. Clarify that for me. I like that.
But the Athletic Association for Political Development, basically, the reason why I chose that, I targeted Athletic Association is because the message, I want to try to grab people with power also. Athletics, we tend to have a lot of millionaires in athletics, basketball, football, baseball, boxing, track and field, tennis, on and on.
Right.
And my goal is for these athletes to become politically aware so that they can come together and unify and try to build up things like communities. I know I don't want to be too long, but communities, for instance. In North Philly, at that page, if you go to that page, there's a segment where North Philly has a row of houses where they're not being sold, it's abandoned, and this and that. And it gives ideas that people could put their money together. We have a lot of Philadelphia athletes, and buy up that community, and then refinance to the black people, and you can mortgage. You understand what I'm saying? To your own people and build up the community. But like I said, I don't want to be too long because that calls for a long discussion.
Well, get that Facebook page one more time, sir. And it might be a conversation we can arrange to have a longer dialogue, but at least people can reach out to you.
Yes, it's Athletic Associations for. Actually, you will find it at capital AAPD small s 2020. That's at capital AAPD small s 2020. And you find that on your Facebook page. Go to put in that, and the organization will come up. You can join. It's free to join, of course. And put your own perspective into it. You can post your own ideas and positive, as long as they're positive. And we can work together to get something going. So
all right.
That's
appreciate you, Brother Howard. Thank you for calling in. Again, if you want to share your ideas, what must we teach our people? What shall we teach our children? Hit us up at 215-634-8065. Again, that's 215-634-8065, toll free, 866-361-0900. Coming up on commercial break. But before we go, stand with WURD, the only black-owned talk radio station in Pennsylvania. Did you know that you can join the 4WURD movement and amplify voices of the black community as a digital member for as low as $5 per month? Visit WURDradio.com or call 215-425-7875. Again, that's 215-425-7875. We need you. So show your support. Join or renew your 4WURD membership today. Coming up on the commercial break. When we come back, we will dive in. What must we teach our people? Because Gil Scott told you the revolution or our evolution into black life will not be televised. But guess what, y'all? It must be taught. And it must be taught for us, by us. So let's get to work. Talk to you after these messages.
James Schuler Boxing Gym is now offering youth and team boxing classes beginning Saturday, July 31st. Gain confidence, body strength, camaraderie, and boxing skills. Physical fitness is great for mental and physical health. Go to jamesschulerboxing.com for more info and registration, or call 215-399-7483. That number again is 215-399-7483.
As a father, I've done everything I can to protect my children. For my family, getting the COVID vaccine is about protecting the whole family now and in the future. That's why I'm making sure my children get the COVID vaccine and protect their health. For me, it's one less health risk to worry about. You have the power to finish this.
Visit pa.gov/COVID for more information. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
This is not a fad for us. We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are undeniably, indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media. WURD. Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on WURD Radio and WURDRadio.com.
And welcome back to Groundings, Evolutions, Elevations with Brother Shamari. I don't know if I'm hearing right or if I faded right. Let me know if I'm supposed to be talking, Kelly J, because the music
you're
just stopped.
supposed to be talking. That clip was shorter than we both expected.
Music just stopped for me. I don't know what happened. All right, good. So I'm back. That's so if y'all don't catch my musical flow and kind of the 1 o'clock segment, I do things around either African mailman or African postman. It's this idea that I'm delivering a message. Get it? Delivering a message in that first hour. 2 o'clock hour, as always, we have a lot for our guest conversation. So we have Mama Gill and Baka Horace Clouden who'll be joining us in the 2 o'clock hour for No More 0%. And then today, first and third Fridays of every month is the Tell Me Something Good segment on Groundings, Evolutions, and Elevations with Brother Shamari, with my good brother Nathaniel Lee. And today his guest is Minister Rodney Muhammad, who'll talk about the work that the Nation of Islam is still doing out on these streets, resurrecting the soul, the spirit of Black men in our community. So looking forward to those dialogues in the 2 o'clock hour. 3 o'clock hour, y'all, we're going to return to this conversation. I'm going to share some of the comments that I received on Facebook Live and add a little more to the dialectic of the question. In this hour, I'm asking, what must we learn? What must we teach? One of the things I've realized as an educator, though, is that one of the things we skip over is the stuff we must unlearn. We must fast, purge, and cleanse some things from our mind that will make space for us to relearn or learn again what we need to learn. But in order to have space for that, there's some stuff that we have to unlearn that we've been taught and conditioned into. So I'm going to add that to the dialectic in the 3 o'clock hour. So it's about unlearning and learning or relearning. And what is it that we must be intentional about doing? Because there's some counter conditioning and some unprogramming that we need to do. And I don't think we take enough time to really give that the seriousness and the intentionality that it needs. But right now, I'm just asking, what must we teach our people, our children, our parents, our caregivers, those brothers and sisters who are returning home from bids in the state penitentiary and things of that nature. We have to be intentional about changing that mindset and teaching them. The revolution and our evolution as Black people will not be televised, but it must be taught. It will not be televised, but it must be socialized. And we need to get about that business for us, by us. Let's go back to the phone lines. Tyrone, greetings and good afternoon. Tyrone going once.
Peace and blessings, good brother.
How you doing, Baba Tyrone?
Hey, look, I'm doing what needs to be done, brother. I'm trying to stay in the fight. Try to put up a good one. But look, my brother, I think, first of all, if you don't mind me joining you and reaching out to the ancestors, my good brother Charles from South Philly, we just leaving his transitional services. Charles Reese was the organizer of the Grace Ferry March, and this brother just did a lot in terms of making these white folks, you know, back down some of that racism that they were doing across in Grace Ferry, where folks couldn't walk in their neighborhoods, this and that. And he was one of the instruments that put a heart to that in South Philly. So I just want to send my condolences and my appreciation for that good brother to the family. And I want to thank you for allowing me to share that. But you know, my brother, I think one of the things that we must do is just try to get folks to recognize and realize the greatness that is within us. We got to get them to understand our history. If they look at the history of this country, most things, if not everything, that have been created and developed in this country was made by our ancestors. And if we can continue to really love and respect one another, I think that will push us further ahead. And last but not least, don't let the other folks, don't let them get in our way or impede what we're doing. Thank you, my brother, for allowing me to share that.
I always appreciate your Bible wisdom, Baba Elder Tyrone, and shout out to the elder ancestor that you gave homage to or paid homage to. They are falling all around me and us. The teachers of our song are moving on. I think that the way we honor that is through remembrance and application of their work to our lives and struggle as we move forward. Not only must we fight, y'all, we must fight to win. And I think that it's time for us, in order to do that, understand that a lot of what we need to do must be for us, by us. So the question on the floor today, and we'll pick it up in the 3 o'clock hour unless you want to weigh in right now. We got a couple more minutes before commercial break. In our 2 o'clock hour, again, we have No More 0% with Mama Gail and Baba Horace Cloughton. And then we have Tell Me Something Good with my good brother Nathaniel Lee, whose guest today is Minister Rodney Muhammad. He's going to talk about the powerful work of resurrecting Black men and the Black family and the work that the Nation of Islam historically has done and also is continuing to do in cities across this country today. In the 3 o'clock hour, we're going to revisit this conversation about what must we unlearn such that we can learn and teach our people what is necessary as we move forward in this period that I call Reconstruction. If we've been doing our math, it's probably about the 5th or 6th period of reconstructing. As a matter of fact, we've been reconstructing since we got here. Our arrival here was a great disruption. And so we've been trying to reconstruct and remember and put ourselves back together like Humpty Dumpty since we fell off of that wall called the Great Ma'afa. So we're just in another iteration of our reconstruction. But I think in some ways we're so tired of reconstructing that we're not engaging in the process with the vitality, with the vigor, and with the intentionality that we should. I don't want to say that we're a defeated people, but I'm a little concerned that our energy our energy level is not meeting the level of the reality that we're in. So for those of us who will have a chance to stand in front of our people, just as a recap, coming up in the fall, and it took a lot for me because I've been on hiatus for a long time. I ain't gonna lie. I've been trying to avoid kind of doing this work and diving in, but I'm not dipping my toe back into the water. I'm jumping back into the deep end of the pool. So I have a chance to work with some of our young people who are at the middle school level, so that's a whole other energy I got to get used to, working with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, but I'm looking forward to it. I have a chance to do some teaching on the college campuses, University of Pennsylvania, among others, and trying to figure out what we need to be teaching our people in that space. I'll also be doing some direct counseling, not counseling, but mentoring and judgeship with brothers and sisters who are returning from incarceration. So what is it that you feel like they need to know? I'll be doing some work with parents, young parents, young caregivers of children in the Black community, brothers and sisters who are in their late teens all the way through early 30s who are parents. What is it that we need? I'll be doing some work with elders, Black elders throughout the city. You hear Reverend Joe talk about the Pop Brigade, but I also have, connections with other elders. And so what is it that our people need to know so it's that we come through this phase of our reconstruction with a victory? Y'all might not understand it, but trust me, the world in front of us is reconstructing as we speak. And right now we're at the tail end of the process and at the bottom of the pyramid, the lowest caste segment on this pyramid. I'm not comfortable with us being in that position. If you're comfortable with that position, then this conversation is not necessarily for you. But as we pick up this conversation later in the show, that's who I'm reaching out to. How do we begin to intentionally socialize ourselves to reconstruct powerfully? And not only reconstruct, but to restore and resurrect who we are as a people, a Black people, an African people, a global people, a first people, not people who come in at the tail end of anybody's religion, not any people who there but for the grace of God go we, not any people who've been redeemed and restored because we've been colonized and subjected to other people's religious or social or political practices, but because we are a powerful people in and of our own right. How do we restore and reclaim our authenticity on our journey forward? Before we go to commercial break, I asked people to weigh in on Facebook, so I only want to do justice to read some of their comments into the record. So please give me some space to do that before we go to commercial. Eve Marie says, you got to teach knowledge of self and empowerment from within. Brother Zen says, we got to teach everybody of all ages what our true history is, especially the history before we came into contact with oppression and the white man. All that was done to us is a crime. I'm just adding, I agree with that. And we got to stop acting like that was normal. We got to know the knowledge of that history would change everything about us. We are still living in this country from a place of captivity. Let me see, Brother Howard's giving a shout out to the mirror. He says, that's a brilliant mirror behind you, Brother Shamar. Yeah, I got a little sun thing going on, but the cooling fan going in it. I'm trying to figure out, give some hot knowledge, but also pull it off so it's not too overwhelming. So shout out to Brother Howard for catching that thing going on in the back. We got to understand ourselves and using all of our senses. We need to teach good critical thinking skills. That's cool. Robert Sims says that. I was in one of the meetings and I said, I'm going to construct my paradigm around critical, constructive, and creative thinking skills, because I don't think that there are Black spaces where our children are being intentionally taught critical thinking, constructive thinking, and creative thinking, right? We're always either fixated on the problems of the present or the lament and the problems of the past, but very rarely in the spirit of Sankofa are we looking forward and creating forward. And that's the most important part of the Sankofa paradigm. That bird has an egg for a reason. It's because in order to move forward, which people forget, is the crux of the proverb. The looking back is a function of moving forward more powerfully. And we need to create these spaces where our children and our people are thinking about how we move forward. Robert also says if we did it's likely more of us would understand and respect, Brother Shamari's position and compassion, while at the same time recognizing and understanding the shortcomings of his solutions. I like that. I like Brother Robert to call in and talk a little bit more about that. See what the shortcomings of my solutions are. I didn't even know I offered that many solutions, but cool. And so keep it coming. Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Call us up at 215-634-8065. Toll free 866-361-0900. We are coming up on a commercial break. When we come back, if all things go according to plan, Mama Gail, Barbara Harris will join us for this week's edition of No More 0%. Immediately after that, we'll hear from our good brother Nathaniel Lee. Tell me something good with his guest today, Minister Rodney Muhammad, talking about the great, powerful reclamation, resurrection, redemptive work of the Nation of Islam and his approach to Black men and Black family development. We will talk with you after these messages.
Philadelphia Families PHL Pre-K, the city's free quality pre-K program, is growing and now enrolling. Over 160 pre-K centers are ready to serve children this year. There are no income limits for this free pre-K program. Children who are 3 or 4 years old as of September 1 can enroll. Call 844-PHL-PRE-K or visit phlprek.org to learn more and find a quality pre-K center. That's 844-745-7735. This program is made possible by the Philadelphia Beverage Tax.
Enterprise Exterminators, located at 4943 Wayne Avenue, has been in business since 1976 and can eliminate whatever pest problems you have. Enterprise specializes in bed bugs, lanternflies, and termites. Call for your free termite inspection today. Do-it-yourself kits are available. Enterprise Exterminators, servicing Philadelphia, Delaware, and New Jersey. Call now, 215-849-7070. Ask us about the WURD and senior discounts.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean, and there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
Stand with WURD Radio, the only Black-owned talk radio station in Pennsylvania. Did you know you can join the 4WURD movement and amplify voices of the Black community as a digital member for as low as $5 per month? Visit membership at wordradio.com or call 215-425-7875. We need you. Show your support. Start or renew your 4WURD membership today. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media.
And welcome back to Groundings, Evolutions, Elevations with Brother Shamari. Groundings comes at you every Friday, 1 to 4 p.m. right here, WURD Radio, 96.1 FM, 900 AM on your radio dial. You can also check us out Facebook Live by simply typing WURD Radio, or 4WURD will pop up. onWURD, if you want to check us out on any of the other social media platforms like YouTube or Instagram. We got it going on. However you choose to know, we will keep you in the know by simply typing WURD on whatever mobile, digital, analog device you may have. There's always a way to find us and take us everywhere you go. Every week on Groundings, Evolutions, and Elevations, we are joined in the 2 o'clock hour by Mama Gail and Barbara Harris Clouden for a segment we call No More 0%. Mama Gail, Barbara Harris, take it away.
Hey, we're here. Brother Shamar, I'd like to just say I was listening to WURD over the past week, and this topic came up and it said, should teachers get a raise? Well, let's go back. We done gave out the information about teacher salaries and their accountability, but let's update the word family again on this topic. Should teachers get a raise? Right now, starting salary for the 8,700 certified teachers are $42,500 starting and going up to $78,000 plus and $49,000 in benefits, which is 1/3 of the school budget, which equals $1.2 billion. What does a raise look like? Is it the mid 40s to the low 80s thousand dollars in how many years? Let's not forget teachers' accountability. They are paid professionals, and this is data collected by their employer, School District of Philadelphia, which anybody can find on the school district website, and this is in-person learning. Poor attendance across the district, producing poor levels of reading, English, math, and test scores, producing an outcome from virtual learning to have the school district offer a repeat to any family that felt their child did not achieve in that COVID year. Again, to any family, they offered to have them come and repeat the school year. Sounds like a 0% of achievement to me. So, does that sound like a group that deserves a raise? I know this is a moot point because we are not at the bargaining table, but if you were their boss, would you offer them a raise? Well, the teachers would probably say, well, look what we had to work with. Yes, let's look at that. The statement made by the school district, this is the statement, the home is an extension of the classroom. That's when they went from in-person to virtual. When the district uses or extends the classroom into another location, a lease is drawn up and monies is paid out. Did the district do that with any of the homes? The second point is this. Along with invading the privacy of homes, the district should have provided partitions and headsets so teachers didn't have to become social workers, keeping them from staying on task. Here again, another excuse of why low productivity came out of COVID. Now, people always say, okay, what solutions do you have? You're always crying this and crying that or saying foul this or foul that. What solutions do you have? Well, here's the solutions that I have. One, we need a new superintendent. This guy's mindset is not one of elevating anybody. Well, I can't say anybody's child because there is a 10% out of the 120,000 children that are what they would call on board or above board.
On level?
No, above board. There's so many different terminologies. I don't know, but on board. Okay. Now, here again, the latest thing, and the superintendent was back on the air last week, and I think he talked about, he revisited one group coming up with a record contract out of a school, old news. Then he came up with vaccination clinics. He had 2 students that's going to, I guess, promote vaccination clinics. And, we have to watch out about these clinics because here again in the past, parents really don't know what's going on in these clinics. They don't know what they're doing with their child. And it seems like the school district seems to have a right to just do whatever they seem fit once your child enters those doors. So watch out for the words upcoming vaccination clinics. Number 2 is this. First one was a new superintendent. Number 2 is this. They have to replace the way they manage these schools. They need to change the principal's status and come up with 2 positions. One position is a constant staff evaluator, because here again, if somebody's not in these classrooms daily evaluating these teachers, first of all, they can't even evaluate them enough to change their attendance behavior, which we see affects the academic achievement. And number 2, is they need to come up with some kind of curriculum enforcement, because here again, we don't know what grade level these children are on. You know, the superintendent talks about delivering student content, but what content is he talking about? You know, are we talking about somebody in the 8th grade? That student content might be somebody on the 5th grade level, but yet and still he gives them student content on the 8th grade level, you know, because he didn't take the time to evaluate that 8th grade student. I mean, we talked about 0%, and you know, we talked about 0% in high schools. So then the board had the superintendent give his evaluation on how the K to 3rd graders' achievement levels were, and then going all the way up to how their achievement level was on the 8th grade level. And then which spills over to your 9th grade, which is your high schools, and here we had 21 schools with 0% in achievement. That just meant that, to me, that just means that from K to 9th, they were unable to educate the child to put them on grade level. You know, so that's number 2. Number 3 is this: they need to change these school configurations. You know, say it over and over again. There's 122 schools that have the grade configurations of K to 8. You know, and then you have 20 middle schools, which are 7th to 8th, and then they funnel down to 52 high schools, you know, which are 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Now, out of the 52 high schools, it comes down out of the superintendent's own mouth, only 7 out of the 52 were on grade level. You know, 7 out of 52. You know, we say that, you know, change the grade configuration back to K to 6, bring back to junior high school, 7th, 8th, and 9th. You got 122 7th and 8th grade configurations throughout the city. They need to consolidate that back down to 38 junior high school, so this way we can get a handle on a child's future. You know, right now, okay, you have a good idea, but you only introduce it to maybe one school with 2 classes of 7th and 8th. So that leaves all the other 140 other locations out of the loop. So if you bring it and consolidate it back down to 38, you can showcase your program amongst the 38, which here in turn affects at least 14,000 students, as opposed to 60 students that you would have in any one school that's in the 7th and 8th configuration. You know, it's like anything else. It's simple math. It's just simple math. But until you get a superintendent on board that's willing to have a different mindset, see, that's the thing. Last 2 weeks ago, we talked about the system and we talked about the superintendent, and I explained to the WURD family that they are the same. You know, it's not one or the other. They are the same. The superintendent has his own system that he's running, and this system is not producing a future for our children. I heard the other day, or I might have even heard it today, where now they want to put a health mental expert in every school. Here again, we're not talking about educating the child. We're talking about mental health. But who's going to be, I mean, who's going to actually pick these? I can't even understand how to explain it to you. But what came to me is, here's another label. Here you're going to put another label on a child. You know, but we know the child can't read. So you know the child can't read. You know the child can't do math. And then you're going to say the child has a mental issue that's going to go to the forefront and trump that you have 8,700 teachers that can produce 212 schools to be on grade level. I'm not talking about 7 schools on grade level. I'm talking about 212 schools being on grade level. You know, here we go again. And please, WURD family, stop defending a dysfunctional school system. When you say, oh, the teachers come out of their pocket and spend money to help them, first of all, WURD family, how many black teachers do you know? There's 8,700 teachers. We only know that there's only 469 black male teachers. So black females, this is for you. How many black females teachers do you know? So you can call in and tell us, because I can't get that number right now. You know, but we need to stop saying that, because here again, the system, which is one and the same, has kept and maintained a 80% of a white teacher base. You know, so we need to stop. Hey, you don't even have to don't defend that stuff anymore.
Dr. Harris, before you go on, I really want you to kind of stay in this space you just laid out about the mental health stuff, because I think people need to pay a lot more attention to the fact that even right now, when you deal with ADHD and stuff, the school is the biggest gateway and conduit to a lot of the mental health diagnoses that happen for black children now, that end up having them on things like Ritalin and Adderall and all these medicines and medications that children are forced to take just to cope with being in school. And now you're adding a whole nother level with the COVID mandates and stuff like that, and now this mental health stuff. Can you just, I just don't want you to gloss over that, because I think that people need to understand that our schools are becoming more like mental health medication dispensaries and sexual health dispensaries. They're doing that way more than they're doing education of black children right now. And our people need to understand that. So talk a little bit more about that, please.
Well, I don't have expertise in talking about it, but only thing I can say to the WURD families is everything I feel is a cover-up of the teachers not being able to teach. You know, first of all, we know their attendance is poor, so they're not even in the classroom to justify what kind of grades they're giving these students. Now here, you might say, well, the child is acting up. I need to refer him to a mental health expert that's in the building. You know, but why is that child acting up? You know, is it because of your poor attendance? Is it because of your teaching skills? You know, or what's the end all be all? Is it prescribe a prescription for this child? You know, it's just not fair. And you know, I used to work for the school district as a building engineer, and we were the only group building engineers that was getting drug tested. You know, maybe the teachers need to get drug tested. We need certain things that need to be done to these paid professionals. I'm not talking about teachers' assistants and all this. I'm talking about the certified teachers, the ones that make the big money, you know, that everybody else seems to pull their weight. And this is what you have.
Let me jump in on there. Peace, love, and power, family. About 18 years ago, I was sitting in a elementary school, and a young Italian man who I went to modeling school with, acting classes with, had created a character called Tiger Man, and he would go into schools to motivate children. So I went with him after I helped him get in, and I sat there and I watched the children go on stage, and he would bring them on stage. First, he asked this elementary school, how many of you have touched a gun? And almost every child in the audience raised their hand. I don't know if they were telling the truth or not, but it was amazing to me. So then he had the children come up on the stage, and he asked them to spell certain words. Those children could not spell. I'm giving you experience from years past, and then I can tell you from the year before COVID. When I sat at that school all those years ago, there were children that were lined up. I went and sat with the nurse. There were children lined up at the nurse's station to get their meds for the day. And I watched her she gave them the little paper cup and gave them their pills in the cup, and they put a little water in that little cup and sent them back to class. And when she finished, she said to me, I didn't sign up for this. I'm quitting this job. And I'm saying to you, the year before COVID, when I was in the schools, I saw children that were on all different levels. My question would be, how many of those children are children of those parents or children of those children that I saw those years ago that were on all kinds of medication? And many of them were on medications because some teacher decided that they should be put on medication without any kind of expertise. They called parents and said, you should put your child on medication. I'm saying to you, that is something that we should very, very, very much be concerned about, because they have, one, no right, but also they don't have the expertise, many of them, that will be reaching out. We cannot forget what it was like when they stormed the Capitol. These are people in all different positions across this country. That's the mindset. When you heard them calling people the N-words, these are your children that's going to be sitting in front of some of those kinds of people. And you have got to say, we need oversight. Brother Shamari, we need oversight. And I'm saying love, peace, and power, because that's really what it's about. We better use our power, our God-given power, to stand up for these children. When I rode around over the past few months, I was in Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, of course, Philadelphia, and some parts of Jersey visiting. When I saw the behavior of folks in the South, mainly in the Alabama, Georgia, more Georgia area, the subservient positions that they've been put in, it reminded me of back in the day. And I'm saying to you, if we want to lift up these families, we're going to have to stand together and question everybody. As taxpayers, you're paying for this. These are considered, and what we're considered as human capital.
Right.
You're paying for this, right. And you have a right to demand what it is you want from this system. And one of the things I want to say, and I wrote this down because I always want to keep this in mind. We're dedicated to helping to improve the quality of life for families in underserved home schools and communities throughout Philadelphia, for equity and peace through water, wellness, travel, education, and resources. We committed ourselves to helping to get equity in Philadelphia schools for all students, to be successful, to ensure equality for everyone. We are committed. We've been committed. Our family's been committed. No matter where they live, they're committed. And I'm saying to you all listening, we are all affected by whatever happens. It's time for peace. And you know what? You have more peace when people have not been mistreated. The children have been mistreated in these schools. I'm telling you, some of the things that people have said to our children is criminal. Stand up, step up, be a part of change, because it's our time. Our number is 267-379-6184. Our number is 267-379-6184. Let me tell you something. There are people all over the city that's committed to change. There's people all over the city that's doing something. I'm saying to you all who are listening, if you can't do any more, then start in your own family or make phone calls to tell people, get involved now. These marches that people are doing against violence, I can't do that against violence. I will walk for peace. And I know peace begins when you start to teach children. When you start to teach children and you realize their parents haven't learned, so they need to be helped as well. Brother Shamar, you mentioned prison, people coming back from prisons. We sat in classrooms where our brothers came back from prison, and these elaborate programs that have been set up, many of them have done nothing for them but filled those and got people paid. The brothers leave more, they go in so happy, and they leave more frustrated, broken, and hurt. Well, I'll say they were leaving more broken, frustrated, and hurt than when they went in, because they had all hopes that now they're going to get jobs, they're going to be able to help their family, only to go to these classes 5 days a week, all day, sit there in front of somebody that promised them stuff that they don't deliver. Get involved, ask questions, speak up like you've never spoken up before, even if it's just to your own family.
Mama Gail, Baba Hearts, I'm asked you get the number again. I'm going to make a request for next week's conversation, because I'm reading the daughter Leah's comment on Facebook, and she asked a question, how much money do the schools receive for referrals? I really want us to stay into this, this mental health, behavioral health, special education diagnostic space, because I think that people don't understand that schools get a significant increase in their allotment when a student is designated either special education or with any of these mental health and behavioral health diagnoses. There's money attached to this. There's an economy around problematizing Black children or students in general. And I want people to really begin to this is not a benign conversation. When you have schools who are totally failing at educating our children, but they're generating millions of dollars by labeling our children as mental health or behavioral health problems, or, you know, they went from the ADHD screen and now everybody's talking about the ACEs screens and checklists. And you hit the point. The teachers are the actual conduits to these designations. Very rarely does a doctor, once a teacher say, I think that this student has ADHD, does the doctor say, no, they don't. It's really a checklist that teachers kind of initiate in this process. And we need to understand the economics of the problemizing of Black youth and Black families that's going on right in our midst right now. So I thank you for your conversation. Can you, again, give people the best way to reach out to you all?
267-379-6184. 267-379-6184.
That is Mama Gill, Baba Harris Cloud, and they come at us every week. No more 0%. We're coming up on a commercial break. When we come back, tell me something good with Brother Nathaniel Lee, whose guest this week is Minister Rodney Muhammad, talking about the work of the Nation of Islam historically and as it continues right now, rebuilding, resurrecting, restoring Black men and Black families. We will talk with you after these messages.
Hi, this is John.
Hi, this is Juanita, owners of JD's Auto Body and Painting. We're located at 6300 Wayne Avenue, right there at the intersection of Wayne and Washington Lane.
We really like to thank all you WURD listeners for the support that you've given our business, and we really hope to see you in the future.
JD, tell them about our products and services we have.
We have a new state-of-the-art paint shop along with our body shop and detail shop. We can help you with the dents and scratches from the winter season.
Come to JD's Auto Body and Painting. Come on out and check us out. We're still honoring that WURD 10% discount. Give us a call, 215-848-5949. Again, 215-848-5949.
Thanks again for supporting our business. We really appreciate you.
See you at JD's Auto Body and Painting.
Hope Partnership Middle School offers a quality, subsidized independent school education to students and families in North Philadelphia. Located at 2601 North 11th Street, Hope offers small class sizes, personalized learning, a research-based curriculum, dedicated teachers, and a graduate support program, which supports students through high school graduation. They are currently accepting applications for 5th to 7th grade students for September. For more information, please contact them at info@hope-partnership.org.
I would like to play a little tune I just composed not so long ago.
Hey family, do you like hearing the best jazz selections aired by 3 of the best jazz announcers in Philadelphia? Well, tune in to 96.1 FM, and 900 AM, WURD Radio, independent Black media for Freedom Sounds of Jazz.
Freedom Sounds of Jazz.
Hear Freedom Sounds of Jazz 10 p.m. Fridays with your hosts in rotation, Aquila, Jonathan Bay, and David Fritz. That's 10 p.m. Friday nights on WURD 96.1 FM and 900 AM, independent Black media.
Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on WURD Radio and WURDradio.com.
If we got, well, Nate, we might have to skip your normal introduction today, so please forgive me. So welcome back to Groundings, Evolutions, Elevation, Brother Shamari. This is our Tell Me Something Good segment with Brother Nathaniel Lee, who has his powerful guest with us today, Mr. Rodney Muhammad, is talking about the reclamation, resurrection, restoration of Black men and the Black family and the work that the Nation of Islam has historically done and is still doing in that space. So Brother Nathaniel Lee, take it away.
Well, as always, I'd say greetings to you, Brother Shamari, and our WURD family out there everywhere, however you may be listening and or viewing. And today, as the name implies, Tell Me Something Good. Well, I always try to bring you something not only that's good news, but something that you can take with you and apply it to your life. And today, I'm bringing you yet another guest who have done just that. And first, before I introduce him, most people in the Philadelphia and surrounding area need no introduction for this gentleman here. His work speaks for itself. His history speaks for itself. But for those of you who may be somewhere out there around the world and may not be privy to that information, I just want to say that when it comes to Philadelphia, as you know, it's facing a crisis. And that crisis is seriously impact Black men. Not just Black men, but it is hard hit disproportionately negatively impact Black men. And the people that many say can't be reached. Many that the world say, look, you just got to lock them up or you just got to contain them. Well, our next guest, he has done something about those who they said nothing could be done about. I'm one of those brothers. I've seen the members of the nation turn lives around that they said could not be turned around. And the great thing about this is they did it without going to, they weren't grant hustling. Whether you supplied the money or not, or the external sources, they did the work. Whether if they got the money, they did the work. If they didn't, they did the work. Their job was doing the work, and that work has had phenomenal impact. So I'm just going to shut up, and I want to introduce Minister Rodney Muhammad to speak for himself. First of all, brother Minister, how are you today? Greetings to you.
Well, greetings to you and greetings to our dear brother Shamari and the great work that he does, because, you know, I can tell you now, you can't build nothing in the Black community worthwhile until you really build the mind back up. And so I see Brother Shamari's show as playing a key role in the city for that kind of thing and the kind of work you're doing, Brother Nate. I always remember the two words that you brought to me after I met you. You were incarcerated for about 18 years and you came out, Transformation Academy. God knows our dollars and our discussion and everything should be about marshaling every force that we can to educate ourselves. But, you know, I always get that argument back to us, how we going to do it, where we're going to get the money, where we're going to, everybody else is getting our money. I don't know why we can't get some of it, at least to do something for the building up of our own minds. But I'm doing great. But you know, as I look at developments in the country and the world, you know, it's not so great. Way back before COVID-19 really set in, Brother Shamari was one of the early voices that I heard saying we need to watch out for this virus. It hadn't really hit our neighborhoods yet, but you know, we really have to stay alert. And that was what I thought about when he said it. And I was traveling to Savior's Day, and they had one part of the airport at Detroit Metro cordoned off, and they were using this term COVID-19. So I said, well, I hope we don't have to run into any of that. And you know, I brushed it off, flew in, went to Savior's Day, came back, and actually we took money. I went and got money from the mosque to help the Move family that had gotten out of prison to make sure they could get to Savior's Day, because the prison reform ministry that Minister Farrakhan had wanted them there. So we raised the money here from Mosque number 12 to get them in. And after we got their tickets, they gave the tickets back and wanted to drive in because of this coronavirus. And I said, you know, it's something more to this, because if Move ain't trying to move on these airplanes, I said, man, you know, but we went on in and everything. But I'm just happy to be with you, Nate, and happy to be on the program here, Grounding.
And you know, Minister Rodney, you know, the Transformation Academy, someone got the name from me. Someone got the name, and I have a book with the same concepts coming out this month and probably the next 2 weeks. So I continued working on that and that concept, not just in writing, because a lot of my writing focused on things in our community that a lot of other people just would overlook. So I made that part of my career. And I said, when I came out, I said, one of the things I want to do, I want to highlight something different, not the trauma of the Black community, but those who are actually doing something about it. And you, brothers for the nation, have always been doing something about it and doing something about it successfully. If you want to see someone, the word resurrection manifested in the lives of people today, look at some of those ex-addicts who came across the programs of the nation and now are standing upright. Some of those who were living on the street, now they own in homes and cars, because as you said, Brother Rodney, the mind had, when everyone else was looking for other ways, looking for programs, looking for this, but the nation changed minds. And I want you to speak about that now, because we are in a crisis, but I want people to know, and people say, well, why is this good news? The good news is there are people doing something that is effective. Tell us more about that. Elaborate on that for us, Minister Rodney.
Well, you know, you're right about the mind. I think millions would be with Minister Farrakhan right now if he hadn't made us look introspectively. It's easy to join an organization that's pointing the finger at everybody else. But when he says, you know, self-improvement, and he started this in 1986, self-improvement, he said, is the basis for community development. So we have to engage in a series of studies where we look at ourselves. And I think some people, it's very difficult to do that, to look in that mirror and say, well, how can I improve? The mirror can only show you what you may not want there, but you have to do something about what the mirror conveys to you. And I say that to say that Minister Farrakhan's work was about us really looking introspectively and looking at ourselves in the nation in ways that we could improve ourselves as members of the nation. And so, you know, the great work that we're able to do, we could have done so much better if we really worked on ourselves and got better as we came to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So after about 1999, he just had the nation kind of do like Red China did. We kind of shut down and start looking in-house. Looking at ourselves. Nothing that's been in existence for 80, 90, almost 100 years deserves to keep going without really going back and taking a good look at yourself. And he told us one day, I served on his Atonement Commission. He said principles brought the Nation of Islam into existence. He said, what we want you to do is study the principles that brought us into existence and then examine our current practices and show us where our practices are out of line with our principles. The United States of America needs to do that. The Black Church needs to do that. The Nation of Islam needs to do it. The NAACP needs to do it. Everybody, particularly that's been in existence for, you know, a long period of time, because when you look at all of our operations and then look at the prevailing condition that Black people are in, come on, man, we can't say we're winning. You know, I refuse to go that route. I'm appreciative, and I'm sorry I'm taking a long time to come to your way, but I'm appreciative of the journey that God gave me from a child on the south side of Chicago, and I did go live on a farm with my mother's mother for at least a year or two. And as a child, living a rural life and going to church every day, I actually had to sit on the morning bench and get the Holy Ghost to be baptized in a creek. But my mind was baptized about 16 years later when I heard Minister Louis Farrakhan on the south side of Chicago. All the things that my grandmother showed me in the Bible, all these characters really came to life. He really illuminated them for me. And so I came in and joined with him. And I know the power of it, because when you're on cigarettes, Wild Irish Rose, cocaine, heroin, everything you can get in the neighborhood, and you can get that up overnight, that's power. And so I know what can happen to the mind. But the minister said, but you have to have, I don't care how powerful a message is someone can bring to you, or even a method or technique, there has to be an attitude of receptivity. And without it, you don't make the connection with it. So I watched a lot of people undergo remarkable transformation from one life to another. But if you don't stay in the process that brought you out of it, sometimes you can return to some of those things. So
can I butt in for a minute? Because I'm wondering.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, brother.
You said a word that I've been talking about off and on for a long time and a lot recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just curious. I didn't know that there was an atonement commission that the Nation of Islam had. So can you go back and kind of frame that out a little bit more? Because I've been talking about the need that I feel like Black people need to atone to ourselves and particularly to our children.
Yes, sir.
For operating from a place of fear and a place of second-class citizenship, and therefore failing to deliver them the platform and the foundation necessary to move into Black power. Like, we can't expect them to be powerful children when we have not laid the foundation of power for them to operate from. And I think we owe our current generation of young folks and our future generations of young folks an apology and an atonement, meaning that we got to make that right. We got to resurrect.
That's right.
So I didn't know that I know the idea of atonement became more known in Black spaces as a result of in March. But I didn't know that there was an atonement commission that the Nation.
Yes, sir.
Talk a little bit.
Was. He thank you for the question. He's, the thing of atonement, we were sitting at dinner one night in Chicago and Reverend Bevels was there. And we were working on the Million Man March and we were making monumental progress. But the minister kept saying at the table, but there's something else, something's missing. And so when Reverend Bevels said, we need to atone and then go to work. The word atone, it resonated through the minister. So we got with that. Naturally, we went back to ancient Egypt and Anton and how that was at one.
Right.
You break a tone apart. So, there was a real spiritual kind of exegesis coming out of that, if I could use that term. But anyway, a few years down the road, he was doing an interview and it was on the cover of the Final Call newspaper, Minister Farrakhan. So what are your next steps after the Million Man March and the Million Family March? And he said, I'm going to focus internally on the nation. And so then he began to select certain people in the Nation of Islam from around the country to come together. It was about 36 of us, and he sequestered us for about 10 days where we began to go over and over again the things that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad really wanted to see in that. And we had to take a good look at ourselves to try to correct things that we may have been doing that weren't servicing the real purpose of our nation, and try to come out of the atonement process, making ourselves better. So, that's when he told us about the principles and the practice. And he said, I want you all to begin to examine this and to help the nation to bring its practices back in line with its principles. And because he said, since the beginning of the nation, there has always been a problem in the nation, starting with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad receiving that assignment. And of course, a lot of people don't know that history, that they were trying to kill him for 7 years. And for 7 years, he just taught basically up and down the East Coast. And he planted seeds all from 1935 to 1942 when he turned himself into the FBI. And when those seeds began to bud, there was a problem, interestingly enough, in the city of Philadelphia with the nation. And so he sent his bright, new, young, upcoming minister to Philadelphia to investigate. His name was Malcolm X. And Malcolm came here and they kind of got a hold of some measure of solution for the problem. But when Malcolm went back to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he said, why did you leave my flock there with no shepherd? And so Malcolm was sent back to Philadelphia. And of course, this was his first ministry before going to Harlem, before going to the Harlem Mosque. But all in all, that was the minister's intent, was to try to make us better people for our people, to be more authentic, to not veer off so far in your practice that you lose all sight of the principles that brought you into existence. Because when you abandon those principles, you begin to lose your power, you lose your authenticity and that. And so I was a part of that process where we just began to just open everything up and look at everything we were doing. What could we do better? And that kind of thing.
And did I hear you correctly when you said the idea of atonement for you all and was rooted in ancient Kemet and ancient Egypt? Because most people think that the Catholic Church and the church has a monopoly on this idea of atonement.
That's right.
We forget that, you know, the atone, a lot of that.
Yeah.
Like you said, like, so I just want you to reiterate that. But we're coming up on the commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to try.
Hey, yes,
I'm letting y'all both know right now. We probably going to run over into the 3 o'clock segment. So make, mark your calendars. And Nate, I'm probably going to butt in a lot on this one.
Go ahead, butt in, brother. Butt in.
But right now, we're coming up on the commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation. Tell me something good. We're talking about the historical and the contemporary and future work of the Nation of Islam as it relates to the reclamation, redemption, restoration, resurrection of Black manhood and Black family across this nation and indeed across the globe with Minister Rodney Muhammad. So stay tuned.
WURD Radio Digital Tip of the Month with Stephanie Humphrey. Brought to you by Comcast.
You might be enjoying the hot days of summer, but your smartphone probably isn't. Hotter temperatures can potentially damage your phone, so here are some things you can do to keep it cool. Don't leave your phone in direct sunlight or locked in a car if possible. And if you don't absolutely need it, ditch the smartphone case too. That can easily trap heat. Change the settings to lower the brightness, turn off data, put your phone in airplane mode, or try to do less high-powered activities like gaming. If you do notice your smartphone overheating, turn it off and take out the battery if you can. And don't try to cool it down by putting it in a refrigerator or freezer. Just keep your phone in a cool area for a while until it returns to room temperature. Stay cool, stay tuned to WURD for more tips, and stay connected with us at wordradio.com.
Tune in Sunday at 1 p.m. for more legal issues with Tony. Legal expert Tony Moore will be taking calls and discussing how to strategize and plan wisely, legally. More legal issues with Tony, Sunday at 1 p.m.
The Black Words Book Club. WURD Radio's conversation on books that explore the African American experience through social, economic, and environmental justice issues. Tune in the second Tuesday of every month on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. The Black Words book for September is Race Against Time, The Politics of a Darkening America by Keith Boykin. Be sure to listen live as Nick Taliaferro will hold a contest for a giveaway book bundle that consists of 4 titles from Kensington's Defina's Authors of Color's newest release. Don't miss it. Tuesday, September 14th on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Attention for WURD members. Get your copy and receive a 20% discount when you purchase at Harriet's Bookstore or Hakeem's Bookstore. For more information on the Black Words Book Club, visit wordradio.com. The Black Words Book Club is sponsored by Defina. Defina is an imprint of Kensington Publishing Corporation, America's independent publisher, concentrating on authors of color. Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on WURD Radio and wordradio.com.
And welcome back to Groundings, Evolution, Elevation. Brother Shamari and I Tell Me Something Good segment with my good brother Nathaniel Lee. So Nathaniel Lee, back to you.
Yeah, we were talking to Minister Rodney Muhammad, and he was telling us a little bit about the Atonement Commission of the Nation of Islam and how it was formed and why it was formed and some of the things they accomplished. And I wanted to ask you, because I am so into this process of introspection. Matter of fact, I had a communication with someone, because I'm really, I'm one of them brothers. I don't know if some of them brothers and greater for remember, but I had accumulated a few nicknames. One was Nat Turner. The other one, some people called me the General, because I did not play. I believed in going hard. And a lot of that was based off my affiliation, although I wasn't a member, with the Brothers of the Nation of Islam, who always by my side. When everybody else was cowering, they were right there beside me. And we just had this bond, I mean, for close to 18 years, even to this day. And to tell you the truth, they're the ones still standing. When they come out and the temptations arise and everyone give in, and so many others give into that temptation, many of the brothers in the nation, I still see they're still standing. And it's those principles, that self-critique, that introspection. So, Minister Rodney, tell me, for those who may be outside of the nation, those who may not be, they may have other platforms or customs that they follow or religious beliefs, can they incorporate some of the same principles for their communities, their people, and to get that transformative process going for their members?
Absolutely. In fact, when it comes to the murder of self and kind, from the time I started coming to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in 1979, he was saying then, and he was really a lone voice talking about us killing each other. He said, there are more black men dying on the streets of America than died in the Vietnam War. And so he was relating back to this. And one of the things that he did in 1989, which was 10 years later, I was sitting there with him. He told his chief of protocol, book me for every city in these United States of America. And he went on a Stop the Killing tour. And the Stop the Killing tour, I think in April of 1990, we actually came to Philadelphia with 12 to 14,000 out. It was my first time in Philadelphia, and we were at the Civic Center, I believe. But the Stop the Killing tour mushroomed into all men's meetings. And then from the first all men's meetings at the Armory in New York with 12,000 men and women out, actually it was men out. He said, I want 1 million of you to meet me in Washington, D.C. And this is how we began working toward the Million Man March. But that was a call for black men to demonstrate to the world, and that's exactly what happened, to the world what we could do. A poll showed that 85% of the men who came identified with being Christian. Fewer of them saw themselves as Muslims. So when people thought this was a Muslim march, that was some of the things. There were a lot of things trying to be thrown out there, but when it was clearly identifiable that this was a march of black men determined to turn things around for themselves, I mean, the thing just caught fire, and we were down there. In my early years, starting with Minister Louis Farrakhan in 1979, 1980 and on, we were very close to the nationalist community. I mean, we were using the Positive Institute for Education. That was Hakeem Madhubuti School on 75th Street. And even before that, when I was just on the streets of Chicago with the East Side Disciples, I was always a reader. So that saved me. And rather than carrying a gun all the time, many times I had a book. And I bought those books from Hakeem Madhubuti's store. So when my first son was born, we hadn't opened the University of Islam. I took him right up there to Madhubuti School, and that's where he went until we opened up the University of Islam. But we were very close to the nationalist community. There was Lou Palmer, there was Ola Menji, there was Dr. Conrad Worrell. Many of all of us worked together in those early meetings, and I was a member before coming in of the All African People's Revolutionary Party under Kwame Ture, and Kwame Ture at that time was still coming into the city of Chicago. So, you know, I didn't come just straight from the street to the nation. I was in different kinds of organizations. I actually worked with Trans Africa, the lobbyist group, dealing with them. And so, I was an early member of Operation Push when it first started with Reverend Jackson on the south side of Chicago. So we truly believe that as we were working with these groups, Minister Louis Farrakhan has always been open to, there's no secret. If men can get together and do things in the community, they can make that kind of impact. What we have in the nation is more of a spiritual discipline. And, you know, it is Minister Farrakhan's strongest belief and ours that we're not going to get out of this without a spiritual component. Now, I know that the world of religion has failed us tremendously, but to throw it out is just like throwing out water and air. If the air is bad, you try to clean the air up. If the water's bad, you try to unpollute it, purify it or something, but you just don't get rid of water, you don't get rid of air. You don't get rid of religion as it's properly understood. And so the minister has always been the kind of teacher that has tried to keep everyone on board. In Islam, one of the least talked about people around Prophet Muhammad is the Black Ethiopian, Bilal. I wish our brothers who are in Islam and other communities and that would really understand that racism still exists in the Muslim world. Your black skin, they want to order you to a lower kind of stage of service and everything, you know.
I just had a back and forth debate with some people about that. I said it
Yes, sir.
on a thing I was teaching, and people just where does that come from, by the way? It seems like black people are very cool when you can show the racist undertones of Christianity and all these other things. But the minute a black man says that, I'm sorry, Islam also has racist elements and I would say some racist history and origins that we also need to critique and be aware of. And I'm not anti-Islam. I'm just saying you can't act like that's not true. And there's always like this pushback when that's said. So I was surprised to actually hear you say that, because a lot of
it's definitely there. The minister knows it's there, and you know he has preached that it's there from the beginning. And you know, one time at the State of the Race back in 1978, he talked about Islam coming to Bilal, and he said when Bilal heard Prophet Muhammad say Ahad, which means, you know, the one God, he said that was not an introduction or a revelation to Bilal. It was a confirmation, because Bilal came from a people that already believed that God was one. And so he was so close to Muhammad that Muhammad used Bilal to be the caller to prayer. And so these Bedouins that give the call to prayer, it started with a black man, an Ethiopian. And when Prophet Muhammad, and this is one of the reasons they don't want to discuss Bilal so much, when he had a vision of himself entering paradise, he said, but I heard the footsteps of Bilal entering paradise even before my own. Now, I didn't mean that Bilal was a more righteous person than he was, but what it was showing was, the minister said, the future of Islam is going to be led by the black man. That's why they kiss a black stone. All this is symbol, and we're in a time where the human being would rather stay on the street than come to religion if all you're going to offer him in religion is a symbol and a ritual. This is the time that the soul is yearning for a higher manifestation of the truth. And at the root of every ritual, whether it's Christian or Islam or Judaism or whatever, at the root of a principle is the truth. And that's what the human being is made to do. And if theologians going to fall short of giving the truth, whether you're omitting it, hiding it, or you just don't know it, either way, you leave the human being that's on the street dissatisfied.
So, Brother Nate, I want you to hold up. I know you're ready, but it's commercial time. You know how this works. That's why I told you ahead of time we're going to have to loop this into the 3 o'clock hour because I knew it was going to get, I knew it was going to come here. So let's all be patient. Let's move side coming up on a commercial break. When we come back, Brother Nate, we're going to start it off and kick it off with you. This is Tell Me Something Good. Actually, this is Groundings, Evolutions, Elevations. This is a Tell Me Something Good segment of Groundings. We're going to extend our time to a 3 o'clock hour with my good brother Nathaniel Lee and my good brother Minister Rodney Muhammad. I will say, Nate, I didn't know, I literally until this conversation today, I never knew about your 18 years being incarcerated. I never knew that about you. So, yeah, I found something new every day.
That's where this all began for me.
I hear that now. I never knew that. So again, if you want to join our conversation, hit us up at 215-634-8065, toll free, 866-361-0900. We'll talk with you after these messages.
Between family dinners, bedtime stories, and study sessions, Pico knows that life never stops moving. So if you need help paying your energy bills, there are financial programs available, like the Customer Assistance Program, or CAP, that offers a monthly credit that can lower your gas and electricity payments. Learn how Pico can help keep your life moving with CAP. See if you qualify at pico.com/CAP.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy.
Ladies and gentlemen, when you complete a job, you feel so much better. You'll sleep better, you'll feel satisfied, you may even cook a fancy meal and share it with a neighbor. When you complete a job, you will rest better and breathe. Breathe, everybody. Let me hear you breathe. Breathe again, breathe again. It's very important to breathe. Say, you have completed a job. Well, after the job is completed, it's time to dance. It's time to tap your feet. And you're going to listen to something called Shake, Rattle, and Roll by Joe Turner. Here it comes.
Shake, rattle, and roll. Shake, rattle, and roll. Shake, rattle, and roll. Shake, rattle, and roll. Well, you won't do right. Save your doggone soul.
Stand with WURD Radio, the only black-owned talk radio station in Pennsylvania. Did you know you can join the Forward movement and amplify voices of the black community as a digital member for as low as $5 per month? Visit membership at wordradio.com or call 215-425-7875. We need you. Show your support. Start or renew your Forward membership today. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live on wordradio.com, the WURD Radio app, or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio, independent black media.
Sorry,
And I am Nathaniel Lee, and this is the segment we call Tell Me Something Good, and the show is Groundings with Brother Shamari, and we come to you with Tell Me Something Good every first and third Friday of the month, 2:25 p.m., and we try to bring you some positive news out of a world deluged with negativity. And even when we're talking about things that in its very nature are not positive in themselves, we bring you positive news of what to do about those negative things. And that's why I always say, when you come to Tell Me Something Good, whether it's the radio segment, the podcast, or the column, you want to bring something to write with and something to write on, because you're going to want to take down some of this information. And today we have Minister Rodney Muhammad, and he's just dropping all kinds of jewels. So if you're taking notes, you're writing pretty fast. But in between, during the commercial break, we were just talking about talking about some of my history. Brother Shamari was saying he didn't know that I had 17 and a half years incarceration myself. And it's funny because when I came out, I was in school speaking to everybody and on radio talking, and that's how I bounced back into the community. But my work as a journalist, my work as a writer, my work as an organizer didn't begin out here, because out here I was tearing it up. It began in there, behind the wall, in the belly of the beast, as we call it, when I was working hard in the many organizations, writing the programs, organizing. In fact, it got me in a hole far too many times that I like to remember. But one of the people that was always there was Minister Rodney Muhammad. And you need people who can show up when the lights are off. You need people who can show up when there's no grants being thrown around, no money changing hands. You need people that can show up in the places where most people don't like to be. And so, Minister Rodney, one of the things you said that you were talking about a program that happened right there in Graterford.
Yeah, and it dives right into what I think is needed first and foremost right now. We need to triage. We need a strong code of conduct. We can't give Pookie a party. If he raped Miss Johnson's daughter and did 15 years, now he's getting out. There's no party for Pookie. We can't help Ray Ray because he murdered Miss Wilson's 2 children. And, he was going to do 60 years, but they found a way to get him out, technicality. So after doing about 28, he's getting out. We're going to give him a party. We need a strong code of conduct, and it's going to take some strong people to do that. Sometimes people are offended when you want a strong moral law governing your members, because they say, well, look, I'm not that kind of person. You may not be. Laws are not made for the stronger people in the civilization. They're made for the weaker elements. And if you really want to build a nation of people, you got to think for a nation. You got to think for a nation based on its strengths and its weaknesses. So the strong code of conduct was what you all offered from Graterford. And what we had to do was find a way to connect the community here with the community there at Graterford. So if you remember, we did a satellite program.
Yes.
And we got 2,300 people out. I got about 700 at-risk youth out. I wanted every sawed-off gangster I could find. I want y'all to listen to some people that's behind bars. And so the lifers came to talk to them. And man, when they start laying down, ain't gonna be no party for you when you get in here. If you out raising hell in Philadelphia, we're not gonna celebrate you when you come in. And we can let you know what you in store for. If you think life was hard out there, you wait till you get here. If you're making trouble, they literally had our older generation in fear of being a snitch, not really defining the term. And, we're just misguided. But I wanted to say, when we had that program that day under Sylvester Johnson as police commissioner, that week, we had 0 killings in Philadelphia. Shootings were way down. And see, once you get socialized into a subculture like that, the only thing gonna bring you back is strong law. And you can get brothers into a state where you can begin to teach them, But first, you got to arrest the situation and understand the mindset that they in at the time you're getting started. So, and see, now we have shootings and killing. It's not gang related. If it was all gang related, I told them it would be easy because then we could bring the gang leaders in and sit down with them and try to reason. We can't make reason from this. You go to North Philly, 3 people got shot. Well, it might have been an argument here. They were younger. But you go back over to Kensington and some man killed his wife because she said she was leaving. No, you ain't leaving me. Bang, 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 and shoot them, and maybe even shot himself. So, you know, murder is everywhere now. And we do need a moral imperative. You need a spiritual component in this to bring. I had invited an idea when John Street was mayor. I said, you know, we need to cordon off Ben Franklin Parkway. We need 40, 60,000 people out. We need to bring the mayors of Trenton, New Jersey, Camden, New Jersey, Atlantic City, New Jersey, Wilmington, Delaware, and Chester, Pennsylvania in, because Philly's the epicenter for all these areas in our metropolitan area having murder. We need to do something on the level of like the Million Man March, because the Million Man March didn't just have a list of follow-up things that was supposed to take place after the march. The march itself produced a fallout quality. 1.7 million young Black people registered to vote. Crime went way down, and the FBI took credit for it. 25,000 Black children who were orphans, within 2 weeks, according to the National Association of Black Social Workers, within 2 weeks, there were applications in for every last one of them. Here are Black men being styled and characterized before the world as men who don't even want to take care of their young. Now, every orphan got an application in from some Black man. They were just so inspired from the event itself. So sometimes the event itself can get you jump-started, and then you can begin to formulate that. So they kept saying to Minister Farrakhan, oh, you ain't got no follow-up to the Million Man March. So he brought this book, had this book put together. This book, The National Agenda, the Million Family March that we did in 2000, brought another million people down to Washington, D.C. And Ben Chavis went to Black civil rights organizations, clergy, and everybody. There's a lot of input in here. The Black United Front, everybody got some input in here. We put this book together, Public Policy Issues and Analysis and Programmatic Plan of Action from the year 2000, and it goes to 2008. I haven't heard on WURD Radio, I haven't seen in the Philadelphia Tribune, I haven't seen an issue that we're dealing with today that wasn't already predicted in this book here. We're not doing nothing new. Before Ken Tu died, he gave me the paperwork of a Black Power conference in Philadelphia in 1978. And when you look at the issues that were on the table for our nationalist community, our warriors here in Philadelphia, God help me, we fighting some of the same things today. So we really need to sit down and really come up with a plan, because getting angry and reacting is not a real strategy. So
I wanted to ask you though, looking at the crime, looking at and you know, I do believe your spiritual, your philosophical foundation determines how you carry yourself privately and publicly. And there's a church or a religious institution of some sort on every other block. And I'll say in Philadelphia, maybe around the nation, this may be true, but I know it to be true. And some people say, you know, the church used to be the backbone of the Black community. And they explain away, when I always ask the question, well, how do we still have these problems right there with this, the backbone? Why do we still have these problems?
Yeah, religiously, we have failed our community. Come on now.
But when I wanted to ask you, Minister, I wanted to ask you, because the response is always is that the church is a hospital where sick people go, so you're going to find some evidence of sickness. And I always beg, is it a hospital or a hospice? Because in a hospital, people get better. In a hospice, you go to die. You're not expected. They hold you there until you die. And I'm not seeing people get better. So what's working? And in your opinion, what's not working, and what can be done to make it work?
One night, I'm sorry.
I want to layer on to Nate's question and make it kind of, so I'm hoping you can hold space for all of this in your answer. I was intrigued by also what you just shared, and what I've really trying to been urging people about. So I want to stay in this space for a while. And I've been looking for this research. I've read a research article before that talked about the correlation between the presence of strong Black political movements like the Black Panther Party back in the day, a lot of what we talk about in the 60s and 70s. And there's research that correlated this in certain cities where those types of entities were strong and present. There was also, as you had mentioned, a decrease in juvenile and young adult criminality.
Yes, sir.
That the more that young black male energy was focused on places like the Black Panther Party or things of that nature, it mitigated their involvement in things like gangs and other stuff. And so I think that one of the things I'm saying to people right now is one of the reasons you have your young warrior energy converting into thug is because we don't have a place to convert it. We don't have those institutions and that rites of passage and that work for them to say, no, I'm gonna take my warrior energy and make it a warrior as opposed to a thug. And so, you know, when you talk about that bump of Black organizing that happened as a result of the Million Man March and other things, add to Nate's question, what do you think happened? How did we lose that? How do we allow that to get dissipated? Because there was, when I didn't go, but when brothers came back, there was a moment for about 6 months to a year where you saw work going on in our communities at a level we hadn't seen in a long time. And then as quickly as it appeared, it kind of fizzled as well. When you all do a debrief and an assessment about what happened and why we weren't able to sustain that, what did you all uncover in that process?
Well, the first thing was it never was designed for the Nation of Islam to be over the follow-up. They wanted to have local organizing committees, and we have probably in the country the strongest organization of all the cities, Philadelphia, because Joe Certain was the city managing director, and Rendell allowed him to be able to bring union heads together and others to work on the march. And then when we returned, some of those people began to play a role in the local organizing committee continuing on. But, you know, all I could see internally was there was just a lot of conflict, and you get a lot of this, who's going to run this, or should we be doing this or this? And it just didn't sustain. It reemerged in 2005 because Kenny Gamble and them got involved, and we really start organizing again. And then Raheem Islam came later with the Philadelphia Community of Leaders and things like that. But one of the things that the minister didn't want was his ministers being over the local organizing committee. So I deliberately stayed back from trying to run it or anything. I just tried to be there. He told us to try to encourage it, and that because the minister knew people were going to start saying, well, it's a nation thing. And I picked up a Philadelphia Inquirer, Sunday Inquirer one day, and his biggest day, right on the front page, it said they were getting quotes from people. We didn't want this to look like a nation thing. So we were trying to stay back, but you know, we were able to maintain. I do think some people kept going, but it kept morphing into other kinds of organizations and things like that. I can only really talk for what happened here. In Chicago, it split up and had 2 different local organizing committees. So, you know, what time that is. We done split up. I'm gonna form my own over here, and oh God.
Yeah, we know how to split up and form our own with the best.
That's right. That's right.
We never moved the thing collectively forward. So back to Nate's question. I think Nate asked I love the analogy of the church as hospital versus hospice. And so back to that.
Well, I'm saying religiously we have failed, and you know what's really up on the line is our understanding of the Bible. See, if you really want to know what we understand of the Bible, now's the time to prove it. You know, the minister reminded the pastors, he said, now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad met his teacher in the 1930s. His teacher left him in 1934. It was 1960 that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad officially introduced the Holy Quran to the members of the Nation of Islam. So the minister said, what did he use that the world marveled at, that Nate's talking about, the transformation of these people in these said ghetto areas on drugs, prostituting, the different things. What did he use from 1934 to 1960? And the minister said he used the Bible. He used his understanding of the Bible, that how to eat to live, the prayer life. Everything started from his understanding of the Bible. And the minister said, we had a very large meeting in Washington, D.C. He said he so wanted the pastors to see the power of the book that they had. Because with a better understanding of the Bible, you can go out into the highways and byways, and believe me, our history is in there. When I reach young people, like during this COVID-19 period, my little bit toward violence, the young people we got, they're not carrying guns no more. Their pants are pulled up, their hair is cut, they're in a suit. They'll be out with me tomorrow. And I'm of the mindset, you can't just stop young people and tell them go to school, keep your nose clean, and we got it. That's a tired old script we're giving them. They want to be empowered. Gang life has a way, and I've been in a gang, so I know how these guys get up and talk to you and rev you up. They make you feel empowered, whether you're empowered or not. You be standing on the corner. They say, well, you don't own the corner. Well, you can't tell us that. We
feel like they
own it. I mean, and I'm saying, my God, can't a preacher make somebody believe that they can walk in another way? Can't you touch a life and say
that one more time, bro? I mean, like
can you make somebody believe something? You know,
you're going to reflect your teacher. You're going to reflect who's guiding you.
Yeah.
And the problem is we are not out there guiding. And then we get mad because mugs are prospering fools. That's because the fools are the ones that have the courage to be out there amongst them and providing direction and guidance. And until we step up off our butts and go where we need to be and become the Morpheuses and the guides and the directors, that's the energy that will then get followed. So nobody can say anything to me if you are not courageous enough to go where the work is and just be the light.
Just be the light. You know what? A bad influence can only be a bad influence because they're around, they're available. And the child, you know, I'm growing up, so if I'm around bad influences, it's more likely I'm going to come out bad, you know. But if I'm around better influences that are doing me, like Brother Shamari's saying, then something better can come out. We can rewrite this story. If we're going to rewrite the narrative, there's a term that comes out of University of Penn. I have to track it down because I've been hearing it. It's called learned helplessness.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yes.
We're teaching people,
Martin Seligman.
We're teaching people. We done went beyond teaching them that you are helpless. Let me tell you why you're helpless. You're poor. You live in West Philly. You're poor, and you're in the section of they've disinvested.
Minister, you're talking my language.
You're in this zip code and everything.
Yeah, and minister talking my language is why I can't make no money, because there's a whole industry on this. And I'm like, yo, we are creating a narrative of powerlessness.
That's right.
We are paying a price for. We have turned pain and trauma to a currency, in Black spaces,
That's right.
we're reaping the ramifications of that currency.
Yeah. And the other thing we're doing, Brother Shamari, is it's like, if I can convince you of your helplessness, then I can be your leader forever, at least while I'm here, because I'm going to go down to the mayor. I'm going to go down to the governor or the president. Well, that's a stand-up brother. He's fighting for us. You know, what's he going to I'm just looking at the ridiculousness of this, and that we don't even know that what we should be expecting from leadership is to teach me in a way that I never need another teacher again, because that's the time that we're in right now, and guide me and train me in a way that I never need another guide and a trainer, because I'll learn how to do it myself. And that's what real leadership is. Turn the person into what you're growing into be.
We should never have a leader. We should never have a leader that's not us, that doesn't know how to serve. If your ultimate goal isn't serving the needs of those whom you claim to lead, then you're not a leader. But if all you influential or all those other things, and serving those people who you call your constituents isn't your number one priority, lifting them up isn't your number one priority, then you're not a leader. You're just a placeholder that's holding a place for somebody who will eventually step up.
And right there, we come up on a commercial break.
I
had to get in there when I could. We're on hold
sorry.
One more segment. If you brothers got the energy for, we got one more segment in this dialogue. It's definitely inspirational for me. I don't know about y'all listening audience, but right now I'm being a little selfish because this conversation, y'all don't know how important it is for me. Because again, man, this whole industry that we've allowed, and I'm sure it's bigger than Philly, but I see it in Philadelphia, but Black people are in place to really perpetuate this idea of lawlessness. And so we sitting here talking about what the mayor gonna let you do, and I'm like, are you kidding? No self-authoring people will allow the future.
Right.
You got people dying on your watch, and you are waiting or whining about what a mayor is going to allow or not allow.
And we are acting like he knows what to do. Yeah, we think he knows what to do. This man, he does not know.
So we come up on a commercial break. I know why now I don't make no money, because I don't tolerate this foolishness from none of these people. But we're coming up on a commercial break. If you want to join this conversation, now would be your time. Hit us up at 215-634-8065. Again, 215-634-8065, toll free 866-361-0900. Groundings, Evolutions, Elevations with Brother Shamari. This is an extended remix version of Tell Me Something Good with Brother Nathaniel Lee, Minister Rodney Muhammad, and we will, if you want to, make space for you. Talk to you after these messages.
Build skills needed for employment through the Philadelphia Skills Forward Initiative, a free upskilling program for workers displaced by the pandemic, those whose jobs are at risk for automation, and Black and brown workers. Complete courses focused on digital literacy, career management, and professional skills for a successful career. Get started today at chamberphl.com.
Teachers shape the future. Right now, in a classroom somewhere in the United States, there's a teacher inspiring a future scientist who'll make preventing pandemics their life's work. Sharpening the mind of an aspiring environmentalist who'll help combat climate change. And generating possibilities for a student who'll be the first in their family to graduate college. Explore a career that leaves a legacy you can be proud of. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on WURD Radio and WURDradio.com.
And welcome back to Groundings, Evolutions, Elevation. We're continuing our extended version of the Tell Me Something Good segment. But by the way, y'all, if you were listening to the conversation right before we went to commercial break, as timing will have it, coming out of commercial break. That is Feliz. The song is Teacher, Teach Me No Nonsense. So right, that's what we're saying. It's about who's in front of who. That's why I told you this is a conversation, a call to the teachers, to the counselors, to the JEGNers. That's a very spiritual role. It's a ministerial role. If your words and your presence and your actions and your teachings influence groups of people, you are in ministry. I just want you to know that. It's a calling that I think we have to understand at a spiritual level, because it's going to have ramifications beyond you. That's why you have to be stewards of your words, of your presence, of your intentions and things of that nature. And I think that we have to elevate and lift the vibration of those of us who are in that work, who are in that ministry, whether I'm behind a radio microphone, whether I'm in front of a classroom of students, whether I'm mentoring ex-offenders. I'm gonna let y'all know, my work is about rescuing some things that I think we've allowed to become the purview of religious institutions, but they're actually supposed to guide our regular everyday lives. Atonement is one of those things, right?
Yeah.
We done let that mean something that it doesn't really mean. It needs to be bigger. Ministry is one of those words. Like some people hear me talk about this as a ministry, they might get a little funny. I am saying that when your spirit and your energy and your words and your presence impacts and influences people beyond you, whether you're a parent, a teacher, a minister, you are in a form of ministry that we have to become better stewards of. And right now, I don't think that we as a people have optimized our stewardship of these roles of ministry that we've been in across our community. So I'm welcoming this conversation. I appreciate it. I have one more question, but I'm gonna wait because I know that we hadn't tied up some loose ends going into that last commercial break. So back to you, Brother Nate.
I was explaining what I felt. We were talking about leadership, and I was saying that if your leader isn't a servant, and you tied in perfectly, Brother Shamari, with ministry, because that's a word that has really strong ramifications for me, ministry, which means to serve. And if you're not serving, why are you in a position of leadership? The leader, the so-called leader, is there to serve the people, to serve the needs of the people, to lead the people into positions where they no longer need service. So Minister Rodney, I want to ask you, and I really want our listeners and our viewers, now that radio has become a viewing platform as well, I really want to tell you, I really want to ask you, how can we transform our spaces, our churches, our mosques, our temples, our synagogues, our rec centers? How can we transform them from places where people collect and gather, but we're not actually growing? We're just continuing in our place of need.
Well, one of the things, that I know has to happen, Black people have to realize that we have become of age. What does that really mean? I mean, in the simplest illustration I can give, when my sons were 5 years old, 10 years old, my relationship with them was I could just tell them what I want done. Here's what we're going to do. Well, you can't have that now, but you can get this. But once they become adults, I still have a relationship with them, but it's not the same relationship I had with them when they were 5 and 10, where there was an instruction or a command. Now there is a request or maybe advice. Where there was me providing, now they're providing for themselves. But I love them. We still have a relationship, but they've become of age. Black people have become of age, and waiting on white America to tell us what we can have, what we can't have, where we can go, where we can't go, and that they will respond if we will act like we have become of age. And we have to stop thinking that real progress and real change for Black people somehow hurts white America. It only hurts people that want to exploit you and everything. But the people that don't have that in mind, some of these white folks are scratching their head trying to figure out why don't they, they had a black president for 8 years. Doesn't that even the playing field? I mean, what's the problem here? So I do know that we have to, if we're signing on to be shepherds, and the minister said you should really give that some thought because you're in a dangerous position if you're in leadership over black people today. This is not a day to be over the people if you really don't belong there, because people can see more now than they used to. It's just not like it used to be, and so it's going to become more difficult for you if you're not willing to serve. But what does service really mean? What is the quality of service that you can really offer a human being? And I believe it is to re-educate, retrain, realize educationally that we have knowledge, but it's not requisite. And what do I mean? We go to school. My mother was a PhD in public administration, but my mother was not a revolutionary. She didn't have requisite knowledge. She didn't have a passion to take her master's degree, her bachelor's degree, and her doctorate. And we're gonna go. I mean, public administration teach you how to govern a city. Mm-hmm. My mother, I love her dearly. She's dead now, but she wasn't raised for us to want to build our own. But she had a son that has it, but I don't have a PhD in public administration. But I'm just saying, we have to want something different from the paradigm where other folks have what I call appraisal power over us. When people have appraisal power over you, they tell you whether your organization is worthy or not. And we fall into it. Yeah, and we fall into it. Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, but not only that they have the power, but that we respect or we see their power of appraisal as authentic and relevant to us. Like we're letting that define and guide our decision making as a people, which is
because it has value. See what they think and what they feel. They feel that we've incorporated that as having real value. Because if I find a Tiffany lamp in my attic or some ring of stone, then I'm taking it to what I consider to be an expert to tell me its real value. That's what we've done with ourselves. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said it like this. He said, we're like a man having amnesia. Now you have amnesia. You done forgot who you are. And there's people standing all around you. You don't know them. You don't even know yourself. But you ask the stranger to tell you who you are. This is if we could put it in those terms, we could see how insane this looks. And then we're talking about we're going to make progress. And
Minister Rodney, this is where the transformation of the mind come in, because we've internalized our oppression.
Right, so now we're a spiritual people. And,
exactly.
And at the root of our suffering, the minister said, at the root of our suffering is spiritual. It can't be solved with legislation. It can't be solved in Washington City Hall and this kind of thing. He said they can aid us because if I'm driving my new automobile and somebody just comes through the intersection and wrecks it, we're exchanging information. I'm not expecting the person that wrecked my car to restore it to what it is. When these people wrecked our lives, that don't mean that they have the knowledge of how to properly restore us. They can pay for it because you darn sure took our money, our sweat and blood, and that's what reparations would be about. It'd be like your insurance company paying, but I'm gonna take my automobile. What's the Brother Shamari, you have a commercial.
JD's Auto Body.
JD's. Yeah. They're telling me about somebody. No, I'm going to JD's, but I expect you to make sure JD's invoices get honored.
Right.
He has the knowledge of how to take what's broken and restore it. And this organization, this author, our Sheikh Anta Diop's, I'm sitting here with Dale Jones' book because I'm just going over again because I used to, Steve Coakley and I used to do work in Chicago together. And, but, you know, I just look at the people who can offer us information, and you almost got to be courageous to read this and entertain it. It's very few places, unfortunately, that you can go and even have a discussion about it because some people don't want to hear it. But
Brother Rodney, I hate to interrupt you. I wanted to make sure. No, not at all, not at all. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to make sure we have a caller on the line, and I didn't want to end the segment without hearing from one of the callers. No, that's quite all right. That's quite all right. You kicking it. And but we have Brother Woody on the line. Woody, are you there?
Yes, sir, brothers. I'm sitting here listening to you guys, and it just reminds me of the good old days when Kenny Gamble and Jeremiah Shabazz and Brother Sultan Ahmed and all them, we'd be in the barbershop talking about the same things you guys are talking about. So this barbershop has been here for a long time, but I thank God for the blessings. You know, I'm one of those kids that graduated school, high school, with a diploma as a receipt for educational services never rendered. I learned everything I needed to learn because I wanted to. I wanted to learn from people, and these people that I got a chance to learn from taught me. The public schools are ruined. Donald Trump, if you get a chance to read an article I wrote, 9/25, 2016, page 10A, Philadelphia Tribune. If you get a chance to read that, please do, because Donald Trump made it clear. You African Americans, your schools are all messed up. You can't get money from your banks. You're being gentrified out your neighborhoods. That Million Man March, it was so many brothers. It was such a beautiful thing that lifted us up to make us feel like we are somebody. Brother Jesse Jackson, he's another one of my customers that came through here. I've been blessed to come from South Philly and to be in the bad schools and see teachers that didn't give a damn. Excuse the expression, but they really did not. It was set up so that the majority of people did not get the proper education in school. And this is what our biggest problem has been. But as it relates to spirit, we are the conduits of energy. Darker you are, the more of a conduit you become. So with that conduit of energy, we understand spirit. The brothers, when we was in the Million Man March, some guys over here, hey, this is Washington over here, Chicago over there. The brothers said, hey, it ain't time for that. And once we understood that we were one, that was one of the most beautiful things I've ever been in my life, the Million Man March.
Yeah, thank you, Woody. Yes, your barbershop sounds like the old ones I grew up in. They were the university of the neighborhood.
Man, let me tell you something. Your mother is the reason you read. As you give her all the thanks in the world, my brother. Right? Yeah. Please do that, because a lot of brothers did not have a mother like you.
Brother Woody, we thank you for your call. We're approaching that time again. So I'm Bogart level, because I have this question that's been brewing for a minute. Everybody I know that's a member of the Nation of Islam, I try to ask this question. Because I'm not a member. I don't really ascribe to much of anything that's formalized at this point in my life. One of the most profound, I don't know if it's a quote, but I heard this statement. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about the three things that a white slave master would never teach his servant to keep him in subservience. Right. And that was the three sciences. He called it the science of martial, or the science of military, the science of mating and family formation, and the science of money and making money. Like
he didn't say it that way. He said it would be the science of business,
right?
The science of warfare,
right?
The science of mating.
There you go. I just use I like alliteration, so I'll put M's on all of it. But yes, exactly. So can you talk a little bit about how that statement is still relevant in the work of raising up and resurrecting and restoring Black men? And unfortunately, coming up on a commercial break, so we're going to extend this into the final segment, because I think that model right there is as straightforward and profound and comprehensive of a way that really guides the nature of the work that we need to do if we're going to go out into our communities and begin the restoration, resurrection, redemption process for Black manhood and Black families. And I think that, like you said, and we've been saying, the models are there. The way is there. We have to have the courage to walk in the way and do honor. That's right. Remembering what's already been laid out before us. If it's right, it's right. It doesn't mean we have to sign. I'm saying let's go back. Our ancestors have laid out pieces of this puzzle that are right. Let's pull that forward and let's walk forward from taking one step at a time, doing the things that we know are right to restore our sovereignty and our power. This is Tell Me Something Good, the extended remix version with Brother Nathaniel Lee and our guest today, Brother Minister Rodney Muhammad, coming up on our last and final segment. So stay tuned because we're going to close it out strong. Talk to you after these messages.
Philadelphia Families PHL Pre-K, the city's free quality pre-K program, is growing and now enrolling. Over 160 pre-K centers are ready to serve children this year. There are no income limits for this free pre-K program. Children who are 3 or 4 years old as of September 1 can enroll. Call 844-PHL-PRE-K or visit phlprek.org to learn more and find a quality pre-K center. That's 844-745-7735. This program is made possible by the Philadelphia Beverage Tax.
Tune in every Saturday at 4 p.m. for the Did You Know Show with host Bryant Green, right here on WURD 96.1 FM and 900 AM.
Are you looking for a job? WURD has got you covered. We just launched a brand new job portal featuring jobs from some of Philadelphia's leading companies and arts organizations. If you go to the portal right now, you will see jobs from WURD Radio, the Kimmel Center, Her Foods, Always Best Care, and more. Apply for a job today. Go to our livelihood website at wordworks.com. That's WURDworks.com and click jobs.
The WURD Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio newsletter. Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on WURD Radio and wordradio.com.
Teach me, teacher. Teach I and I am a teacher. Teach me, teacher. Teach I and I am a teacher. I never delay. I always early.
And welcome back to the final segment of Groundings, Evolutions, Elevations with Brother Shamari. We kind of got Tell Me Something Good that has extended into the Shamari Shoelace segment, so we're working it all together. But if y'all ain't been listening and y'all ain't been learning, then y'all just don't want to learn, because there's some science going on right here and blueprints being laid out. And essentially, all of us have admitted it ain't nothing new. All we're doing is trying to rehash and restore stuff that if we had honored in the past, we probably would be much further along than we are now. So I called it the 3 M's because I have a thing about alliteration. So I went from the martial or military to the monetary to the mating. But I want you to correct it and say it this honorable said, and then kind of expound a little bit about that as kind of the 3 pillars, if you will, and how they could play in our intention to restore Black manhood and deal with these issues of violence and undereducation and learned helplessness and all of this stuff that we know is out there that we have to fight through. And just a reminder, we got to sign out at 3:55. It's now 3:45. I ain't got nothing else to say. It's on y'all, brothers.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you again for it. I do think some of this started with a senator making a statement when they were going over the funding or something for establishing Howard University. And one of the things that he brought up was, well, we know we don't intend to teach them in these general areas that you brought up. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the science of business was the science of life itself. When you're really alive, you are busy you are busy with your life in accord with the nature that you were created in. God didn't create any creature with a nature to work against its own best interests. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Allah imposed upon every creature a divine duty to do for itself. So the science of business is the science of life itself. If we took that and put that into today's terms, stock market and everything, if you were a business, would you invest in yourself? And if somebody had invested in you as a human being, would their stock have gone up in the last 10 years or gone down? Would you be out of business? You know, we have to develop ourselves even as we talk about just going into business and that. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad always said that 6 or 8 of you should get together and begin to pool your resources, your material resources, your intellectual resources, your business know-how, and come together and begin to build in that. And when you look at that, you don't have to be lifetime business partners, but it can jumpstart everyone to ultimately go off on their own. And what he was, now that we review it, we were seeing that we were encouraged, because today we're poisoned with the spirit of individualism. Everybody wants to act on their own, and so we're in silos rather than bridges coming across, connecting with one another. But the science of business, he said, was the science of life itself. So business life, it should be life to us. And to give up our businesses, you know, we talk about, we built 60 to 100 towns after 1865. We were primarily an illiterate community when we did that. Now we're reading all kinds of things, and we can't even build a neighborhood, turn it into a community. We have to take a good look at ourselves now and where we are in terms of business. Dr. Claude Anderson said we're still somewhere around 0.1 of 1% of all the businesses in there. So, you know, in any neighborhood, in any human being, because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad always looked at the individual, then he could put that in a nation-like perspective. And so you cut the vein open of a human being, all the life fluid runs out, that person perishes. So if you cut the economic vein of the Black community open, how can it really, really survive?
It can't.
So by the time we take our first coffee break, the economic multiplier, that was when I was at DePaul University, I was counting major, but my minor was economics. The multiplier, how many times can the dollar turn over? It doesn't turn over even once in our vicinity in that. Warfare, business is warfare. Our culture is warfare. Even Dale Jones is talking about how we're poster signs for the capitalists.
Now,
We
just a
wear all
reminder,
this stuff and everything, you know, whether it's T-shirts, bumper stickers, and we have all their little slogans and everything. Mating is probably the most important, because the slave master, he first works to socialize you. And so, you know, when I talked to the Southern Poverty Law Center, I wanted to know why we were on the hate list in Pennsylvania. He said, because of your teaching about Yaqub. And so the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught that this man was a social and genetic engineer, and that we were, so you socialize a community that I'm the new slave master in town, you're my slave. You beat people that don't cooperate in that, but when you socialize women in fear, when they're carrying the new life is now chemically charged with that fear. That child comes out fearful without even really knowing it, because the chemistry of the mother, when it was developing, was writing fear right on the brain while the brain was developing. We've got to come to understand these kinds of things by physiologically, biologically. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad saw this kind of attack. So anyway, proper mating, he saw 75% of his work was with the female. There's no such thing as building a new reality for the Black man without, he said, the reform of the woman. She's the first teacher, the first nurse. And so you're thinking, okay, child's born, she's a nurse, the child nurses from her and that. But really, that nursing starts while that child's developing in the womb. And so he made the women, because the mosque was a lot of tumble and turn. It was a lot going on in the temple. So when a sister was pregnant, he wanted her to stay home. He wanted her to keep a peaceful state of mind, and that to bring new children into the world. But, you know, mating is something we're really going to have to look at, how we talk to each other at home, how we're building our homes up, because there's an old African proverb, it went something like this, that the first sign of a nation's fall is found in the homes of its people.
Minister Rodney,
yeah,
I hate to interrupt you because of this passage of time. No, that's fine. You're dropping a whole bunch of jewels, and I always tell you what's my slogan? Have something to write with and something to write on. And I'm hoping some people out there they heard that and they followed that instruction, because I want you to tell people if they want more, because there's so much more that they could learn. If they want to learn more, how they can contact you.
They can go to Facebook Live. My subject tomorrow is somebody's trying to kill you. You know, if you wake up and there's a rattlesnake in your bed, and somebody put acid in your mouthwash, and there's arsenic in your oatmeal and a bomb up under your car when you get ready to go to work, you should be able to figure out somebody's trying. And if your neighborhood is set up the way our neighborhoods are set up, substandard education, nobody that looks like us is selling us the food that's there. We can get guns, but not books. Believe me, you know, we should be able to see the framework is set up for somebody to try to kill us. And even though our fingers may be pointed at each other, and some of those fingers got holding a trigger, believe me, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad used this term. He said the enemy is the skunk of the planet Earth. A skunk is the only creature. He wasn't trying to be derogatory. He was saying a skunk is the only creature whose presence is not necessary for you to know that he's been there and done his work. Mm-hmm. And when a skunk sprays on your clothing, you literally have to throw it away, because if everybody smells what he sprayed on you, nobody wants to be around you. So once he puts a lot of titles on you, they sprayed on me. I'm anti-Semitic. I'm this, that, and the other. Nobody want to be around me when they spray on you, you know. Well, he was describing how they operate.
And so you said that's what time tomorrow?
Now. They're going after Julia Malvo now. They just went after, it was someone else, but they're going after Bean and Jerry now, because they want to help the Palestinians, and they don't want to support the apartheid regime, you know, in Israel. I'm telling you.
Well, Minister Rodney, before we lose time, I want to personally stop. And thank you for being our guest. We got to do this again. We really have to do this. And Brother Shamari, as always, I appreciate you.
Before we sign off, real quick, you mentioned young brothers that you went out and that are going to be with you at something tomorrow. Can you just put a loop on that so we know?
Okay, we're gonna be meeting on Broad Street about 11 a.m. But we're going to different parts of the city. We'll be in west, southwest. We'll be in. I got to go back and look at the list, but because we had some of the younger brothers, they're all under 35, and we've been going around the region to Pittsburgh and all the other mosques that I'm over in Pittsburgh and Chester, Pennsylvania. We've been in New Jersey. We'll be in Atlantic City after this week, but we're supposed to be in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia tomorrow. And so I'm going to be working them here. And we've been getting them over the COVID period. They've been plugging in, because see, they notice social media, so we've been reaching them and they've been joining, and we've been trying to do our best in a virtual setting to train and everything, and bring them with us. And so you can't leave these people void. You've got to give them a mission. Let's remission them. Let's from something destructive to something constructive.
Exactly. That's been the message and the mantra right here. So what I want to do, I don't know if people are interested in supporting that effort tomorrow, how they do that, how they weigh in.
Facebook Live at 11 a.m. every Sunday. I'm on Facebook. You can go to Mosque 12 Facebook page, and you can get us on. I'm on a quality of life series. So for the next 2 weeks, I'll be talking about somebody's trying to kill you. It ain't just us killing each other in our community.
Exactly.
Somebody went through an awful lot of trouble to make sure the heroin gets here. an awful lot of trouble to make sure guns. There's not one black gun manufacturer on earth. Come on.
Right.
But
So I tell people, our crisis right now is we have high-tech weaponry in the hands of people whose spirits and minds have been made low-tech.
That's right. That's right.
Exactly. We got to deal with that.
That's exactly what is happening.
So I want to bring to a close another exciting episode of Groundings, Evolutions, Elevation. Shout out to my producer today, Sister Kayla J, sitting in for Brother Jordan. Great job as always. We will talk to you all again on Sunday, 6 o'clock p.m. right here. Groundings, Evolutions, Elevations with Brother Shamari on WURD Radio. Talk to you then. Peace.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
This is a rhythm, a warrior's rhythm, victorious rhythm, a glorious rhythm. You hear it, you feel it, it's there in the spirit, it's there in the lyric, don't ever compare it. The beat of the cradle,